Crowned the British champion, and alongside this prestigious trophy is the number 16 race jacket and the chance to be a wild card at the British Grand Prix at this very track in Manchester in June. It promises to be a great night of Speedway. Welcome then to the Attis Insurance Sports Division British Final of 2025. And welcome to Manchester and to the National Speedway Stadium. The sun is shining for one of the biggest nights in British Speedway. And joining us for the occasion is Kelvin Tatum and Scott Nichols. A very good evening to you guys. You've got 9 British titles between you. We'll have another 2 when Chris Louis joins us in commentary. Cal, fond memories of this night?
Absolutely. It was held at Coventry back in the day, and I was lucky enough to win it a couple of times there. It was a Sunday afternoon. There was always a terrific crowd. Scotty will remember it as well. They were huge days. Actually, it was like a whole day out, and part of the World Championship qualifying round, moving towards the World Championship. But yeah, always a smashing day.
And Scotty, it's a big occasion, isn't it?
It is. It's huge. You know, this is the biggest stage a lot of these boys will perform on, and everybody wants those bragging rights of being the best in your country. And trust me, some of the riders, well, all of them, they grow the horns. They grow an extra motivation that's sometimes not there in the league match. Everybody wants to be the best of the best. So yeah, look out for some exciting racing.
Can we see past the 2 Grand Prix stars, though? Let's start with Dan Bewley. He's a home rider as well.
His favourite for me, winner the last 3 times, going for the 4-timer, and Bewley was spectacular last year, Abby, with that pass with Woofenden. We're looking at footage from 23 and 24, but no question he's my favourite. Robert Lambert will be looking to do much better than he did last year. It was a poor performance by his high standards. But then you look at this meeting, and Scotty will understand this entirely, is the fact that people catch fire on a British final night, and you just don't know where that's coming from.
We have a feeling where it might come from, though. We'll get onto that in just a moment. But Robert Lambert, first of all, as Calvin mentioned, a point to prove, Scotty. No
question. He's, you know, Speedway Nations winner for Team GB, and saw him last win it back in 2018 on this very track. So we know he's got the skills to do it. But last year didn't make the semi-finals. A very, very poor night by Roberts. Like Kelvin said earlier, very, very high standards. And no question he'll have a point to prove. Yeah,
and there is a wild card up for grabs here in Manchester in June. And Tom Brennan, perhaps. He's done it before, and he's chomping at the bit.
Of course he is. He's a rider on the up. He has huge potential. He's won 2 Speedway of Nations, but I think he wants to be a major player. Hasn't really had a role in that. He's just been on the sidelines. Of course, with 2 back-to-back Grand Prix, that's a massive shot window you can put yourself in, and Brennan is a rider that I sense really relishes that challenge.
As a bench and the fire, maybe Bomber Harris tonight, Scotty.
Yeah, well, you know, when that British race jacket goes on, the fire
going well, you know, he's going well.
He's in good form, and you know, he's a you know, excuse the pun, but he's a proper British bulldog racer, isn't he? And you know, he'll certainly mix it up. And no, I mean, but like Kelv said, everybody seems to kind of grow that extra motivation. At the end of that, it comes down to one race.
Well, if you usually join us on a Monday night for league racing, Cal, quickly tell us the difference in the format tonight.
Well, we have 20 heats initially. Everybody gets 5 outings. The top 2 from the 20 heats, point scorers, will go straight through to the final. Then you have the next 4 riders through to 6. They will have a semi-final, and the first 2 from the semi-final will join the top scorers from 20 heats. And then it's all about Heat 22, the grand final, who is going to be crowned British champion.
Scotty, how would you plot yourself through the night? It's a long night.
Well, you kind of have to adjust as the night goes on. Everybody is aiming for that top 2 spot. Everybody wants the security going straight for the final, but you have to be sensible. You know, all the points play. Making that semi-final is hugely important, and the fact that, you know, if you're in that semi-final, does that give you a slight advantage because you're on the track just before that final? Can you make those little tweaks just to give you that edge?
Well, we've got the 2 Grand Prix stars. They are back and they are battling out for glory. That is a national title on the line. Scotty, caught up with them.
Dan Bewley, you could make it 4 and a bounce tonight. The only person to do that in the history of British Speedway is Barry Briggs. Do those sort of statistics motivate you much?
Oh, it'd be nice to be the first British guy to do it, but no, it would be cool, but at the same time, not too much, but you just want to just tick off another one, really, you know, get one more, and yeah.
There's no question you come in tonight is is the favourite to take that win. Does that put pressure on you, or does that give you extra motivation?
Oh, a little bit of both, you know. It's a bit of a privilege to earn a bit of pressure. So, no, it's cool that, you know, you have that, but at the same time, you know, we all start on zero, and it's a long night.
We know it's a very even racetrack here, super fast racetrack. It is your home track. Does that give you any advantage over the rest of the boys?
No, I don't really think so, you know. Especially, you know, with some of the other guys, you know, like Tom and Rob, for example, they've rode here a lot, and yeah, I feel like it's one of those tracks that there isn't really a home track advantage at all. So just everyone just likes coming here. It's just a nice track, and just whoever's on the day.
Robert Lambert, it's great to see you racing on British shores. We don't normally see you here, not based here anymore. You don't race in domestic league. Does that make it difficult for you to jump into a meeting of this level?
If anything, there's less pressure on me. You know, I don't race here week in, week out. You know, but it's nice to be back here, and especially in a stadium that has such fond memories and happy memories of, you know, past successes.
I don't want to dwell, but last year the memories probably weren't too good. By your standards, an off night, how much motivation does that give you to turn that around tonight?
Yeah, definitely, yes. I've got a bit of the Peter Craven memorial curse going on at the beginning of the season. Then the British final didn't go to plan as well. But yeah, we rectified that for the Speedway Nations and come away with a gold. So yeah, hopefully we can replicate things tonight. But yeah, like I say, it's nice to be back, and we're happy to be here and mixing up with the best of the British boys.
So if those two guys make the final, they're already in the Grand Prix. So that opens the door for another rider to get that wildcard opportunity. Who then fancies their chances?
Tom Brennan, just how much does the British final mean to you?
One of the biggest meetings of the year, if not the biggest. It's the one that everyone wants to take home, so yeah, a lot.
And you've had the wildcard spot once before. How much have you learned from that experience?
Today's about becoming British champion rather than going to Cardiff. That's the sort of the mindset for today. It's kind of always hard when you know the wild card's on the line, but at the same time, I mean, I've kind of done it now, which is kind of cool. So now we have to try and tick off the actual British champion list now.
Danny King, 2016 winner. How motivated are you to get that top step again tonight?
Always motivated when it comes to the British final. It's a tough meeting, as you well know. I've had some success before, and I feel I'm in good form going into it, so we'll see, but it's a long meeting ahead, just one race at a time.
That's it, it's important to have good form. You just said there you feel like you're in good form this year, so big things tonight.
I hope so, mate. Yeah, it's as I say, it's always tough, but hopefully we can get off to a good start, hit the ground running, and yeah, we can be there or thereabouts at the end.
Chris Harris, 2010 British champion, last time on the podium 2013. How much did it mean to you to be on that podium tonight and win that wildcard spot?
Yeah, it means a lot. You know, obviously the wildcard spots are nice, but the one we want is that British title again. So that's just so I can catch up with you. You've got that many. So, but no, to win it again would mean a lot to me.
It would be so good. So it's widely discussed amongst the Speedway fraternity that the National Speedway Stadium is one of the best racetracks in the world. So we sent Scotty and Calv out to check out the conditions ahead of tonight's meeting.
It's always a pleasure coming to the National Speedway Stadium, but especially on British final night. It really is a night to look forward to. It's a glorious day, and I must say that the track staff here, in particular Andy Meredith, are going to have to work very hard to keep the dust down, and they've worked particularly hard yesterday and again today. I'm down on the inside. I can see there is a little bit of dirt there, and I know that because they've actually put some new fresh material on, particularly for tonight. Moving to the middle of the track, again, a reasonable amount of dirt, still watering the track as we speak. And then you can see the water laying on the outside where they work the track particularly hard. And again, as normal, this is probably where Bewley's going to find himself a bit later on in the night. The track looks a picture. I sense the major challenge with the windy, bright weather we've got this evening is going to be keeping the dust down. But all in all, I must say the track looks an absolute picture for the British final. I know Scotty's out here with me. He's over on the start line. He's got plenty to say.
Yeah, thanks, Calv. Indeed, I am down here on the start line, and one of the most crucial parts of the race, all the riders will say it's all about the gates, all about setups, and early doors, the inside may be a little bit favourable for me. Gate 2 looks pretty good right now, but as you said, Calv, it's in the sunshine. Gates 3 and 4 in the shade, so will they hold up a little bit better later on? I'll encourage you to watch how the gate positions change over the nights. The outside could start to become advantageous later on as that dirt line that Kelvin spoke about builds up and moves wider. So, yeah, keep your eye on how the starts change. Outside, early doors, I think, could be quite difficult. But either way, we're going to look forward to a great night's racing. Can't wait for Heat 1 to kick off.
Scotty, thank you, and neither can those people. And we are joined now by Phil Morris, who is the CEO of the Row Motor Oil Premiership. Phil, we have got some world-class riders competing tonight. We've also got some up-and-coming British talent.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, we've got the 2 Grand Prix riders. Obviously, it's a shame we haven't got Ty Woofenden, another big hitter, but there's a lot of young, hungry riders here hoping to take home the British Championship and the wildcard place for Manchester.
Yes, and it's for 2 nights, isn't it? They'll get that wildcard opportunity for the double header.
Yeah, it will be. It'll be for both of the Friday and the Saturday, so it's a massive opportunity. I know, you know, Danny King, Adam Ellis, Charles Wright, they've all done it before. I'm sure they'll be trying again, and Tom Brennan, these kind of guys. But, you know, you've got the young brigade, Dan Thompson, Anders Rowe coming through. Yeah. So it will be interesting to see. Obviously, I'm sure that everyone will expect the favourites to be Dan Bewley and Robert Lambert, rightfully so, being Grand Prix riders. But there's a lot to fight for, and I'm sure it'll be a good event.
And we know that the National Speedway Stadium can put on a great show. Had the Speedway of Nations here last year. It had to withstand some tough weather conditions, but it was really spectacular.
Yeah, obviously we've had that big event here, and it was fantastic. And obviously in a month's time we've got the Grand Prix coming here, so the highest of the high. So hopefully that will be a fantastic. This is a sort of entree for that, but this is a big event on its own as well.
And this is an entree for what you're about to do. He's been multitasking,
yeah,
Phil.
He's been
get
the riders in for the pictures.
Go on, now you go and do
okay,
it.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll take your mic. Okay, we want you to be. I told you he's multitasking. To be a part of the conversation. The hashtag tonight, I should get this one right. It's pretty easy. It is 2025. British final. The crowds are out, the sun is shining, it's beautiful here in Manchester, and we are awaiting some stellar racing on the track. Stay with us here and we'll have more build up for the British final. Welcome back to Manchester then, and to the National Speedway Stadium for the British Final 2025. The sun is shining. It's a huge night of British Speedway, and the atmosphere is building in the stadium. There's some tension here in the pits, and we're going to head to Scott Nichols, who's hopefully in the thick of it. Scott, what are the nerves like?
Well, I'm totally in the thick of it, Abby, because the riders are kind of now just about to grab for parade. That multitasking man, Phil Morris, is just pointing them all that way to go. So I was hoping to grab one, but the interesting bit for me right now is this is the build up to it. You've got probably 15 minutes or so before race 1. It's interesting as I just clout into a bike. It's interesting to see how the riders kind of build themselves up for this. Some will do their mental rehearsals before and just be sitting in the pits, kind of chatting away with their mechanics, really trying to navigate around here. Yeah, you can see a couple of boys, Danny King, Stevie Worrell, just having a little chat there, pretty relaxed. Other boys will be in their space, wanting their quiet space. So I'll just spin round over this way here. Drew Kemp, with his glasses on, just getting his goggle case ready, getting himself sorted out for Heat 1. It's not going to be long now before they get ready, so the mechanics are going to be under that pressure now, just all those last little minute checks. Actually, I'm just quickly slide over and grab Craig Cook just while he gets himself kitted out. Craig, that's a seriously fast moustache you got there.
It's looking good, isn't it?
He's looking good. Craig, you're in really good form at the minute. How are you feeling coming into tonight?
Yeah, good. It's still early days for me. I think I've done 8 meetings this year. Had a good practice yesterday. We landed working, tested a few new things. Every time I'm feeling more and more comfortable on the bike. We made quite a few changes this year, frames, engines, just the way it's set up, little things like tyre pressures and things like that. So everything as a whole, it's all come together, and I'm feeling a lot more comfortable on the bike.
Well, thanks for chatting to us, mate. I'm going to let you get out to parade before you get in trouble with Big Phil, and keep that tash out front. Yeah, it's going to be very, very close to Riders Parade, which Chris and Kel are going to take you over. But my heart rate's starting to build up right now. God knows what these boys is like. So back to you guys.
Scotty, thank you. Well, it is time for the Riders Parade. So it's the time to say good evening to Chris Louis, who's got...
Thank you very much, Abby. You got cut off there just in at a vital moment, but Chris Louis is alongside me. He is also a former two-time British champion. Good evening, Chris. Smashing to see you as we take a look at the second reserve coming out on track, and that is Jack Schmelt, who rides for the Belle Vue Colts, if he gets a ride tonight. And,
yes,
number
thank
17.
you, Kelvin. It's nice to be here, by the way. Just get that in quick.
Yeah, lovely. So Freddie Hodder coming round as well. They are the two reserves. They both ride for the Colts. Now we're into the major lineup itself. That is unfortunately not Charles Wright. That is Anders Rowe. Not quite sure where Charles Wright is. He hasn't been. He wasn't quite ready. So a bit of confusion there. But Anders Rowe, big night for him.
Yeah, massive night for him. He's in great form as well, Anders. He's riding very, very well for Sheffield and Paul in the championship. Dan Bewley, of course, next out. Needs no introduction. Grand Prix star, had a successful start to the 2025 Grand Prix campaign.
Indeed,
second place in Lancet, but three-time British champion, going for 4.
He is indeed, and he's the favourite for this evening. There's no question about that, and Dan Bewley will be a tough man to beat. A former British champion, of course, is Danny King, who appears to be fully fit in 2025. You'd know more about that than I do, but Danny King, confident, says he's riding well.
Yeah, he's much more comfortable on the bike this year due to hand problems last year, when, of course, in 16, and yeah, he's in good form.
Adam Ellis, another former British champion as well, who has had a bit of a roller coaster of a career. At times he looks absolutely majestic on the bikes, and other times you sort of think not quite hitting the highs you would expect, but he's the sort of rider that can come alive tonight.
Steve Worrell next up, riding number 11 tonight, and rides for Scunthorpe. Doesn't have a place in the Premiership. Said he didn't want one at the start of the year, although he seems to be growing keener and keener on the idea as the season goes on. But he's had a couple of second places. He'd like to go one better.
Yeah, Steve Worrell knows this place very well, having ridden for the Aces in the past. Robert Lambert, what a career he is beginning to accomplish. Had a poor British Championship last year, but has won it back in 2018. Won a couple of Speedway of Nations here. Knows this place like the back of his hand. I'm expecting big things from Robert Lambert tonight.
Absolutely, and Drew Kemp next up, riding at number 9 tonight. He's in really good form for Leicester and Berwick in the championship. He's 3rd in the Berwick averages, so yeah, riding very well this year.
Yeah, good to see Drew going well. Connor Mountain is up next. Another rider that is certainly making his way steadily in British Speedway, but a big night ahead for Connor. He'll be keen to do well this evening, riding at number 8. He rides for Scunthorpe in the championship, and he'll be hoping to delight the Scunthorpe crowd tonight.
At number 7 tonight, Vinnie Ford. He's got a reputation for mixing it, rides for Workington in the championship, and if he can find the pace, he won't be afraid to get those elbows out and get stuck in.
I'm looking forward to seeing Vinnie. I haven't seen him ride yet, but everybody's telling me he's an exciting character. Craig Cook, now, he, on his return to the Oxford Spires, absolutely in sparkling form. Talking about new frames, new engines, there's no question that he has hit the ground running in that respect, and he knows what it takes to be British champion. Could it be a big night for Craig Cook?
Could well be. He certainly is in sparkling form for the few meetings he's done this year. Next up, Dan Thompson, young man that rides for Ipswich. I know him well. He also rides for Glasgow, having an absolutely fantastic season. He's come through the Rising Star programme, and it's worked wonders for him, and he is in sparkling form this year.
Dan Thompson could be a dark horse tonight. Tom Brennan, many people's favourite to get the wild card for the Grand Prix. Back-to-back Grand Prix here, of course, next month. Tom Brennan knows this track well, has ridden for the Belle Vue Aces. He's in good form. He rides for the Ipswich Witches in 2025. No doubt Tom Brennan has a bright future.
Yeah, he's very much looking forward to this evening's British final. Jason Edwards next up. He's the Birmingham Rising Star. Comes in to replace the injured Dan Gilks, and he'll be looking forward to it tonight.
Now, Chris Bomber-Harris has had a fantastic start to the season. He has moved to the Kings Lynn Stars. He rides for the Glasgow Tigers as well. He rides on the grass track scene on Europe as well. And there's no doubt that Chris Harris is full of confidence. And what a fairy tale story it would be if he could get the wild card and come back to the Grand Prix next month.
Well, it's only taken a month for the young man to go from reserve to number 1.
There you go.
That's really fantastic stuff. And Leon Flint completes the lineup. The Sheffield Rising Star also rides for Glasgow in the championship. And oh, here we are. Charles Wright, take it away, Kelvin. He's finally there.
Yeah, better late than never, they say. And Charles Wright, another former British champion, he absolutely came alight a few years back when he won the British title. Of course, he was a Belle Vue ace at the time, knows this track well, rides for the Oxford Spas in 2025. And as I say, a little bit late to the parade, but good to see him out there, has a strong following in this part of the world. They are the 18 competitors now we've introduced to you on a beautiful evening here in the National Speedway Stadium, Belle Vue, Manchester, for the British Final 2025 vintage. And I'm sure we're going to be royally entertained tonight. We always are. This is a spectacular event year on year. Riders just beginning to settle down, waiting for the national anthem that we will hear very shortly. But both Chris and I have had the pleasure of riding in these events. It is a really big night, and riders, no question, do raise their game for the British Championship. It's a pride on the line, as well as the wild card for the Grand Prix in the middle of June.
Yeah, as you say, Kelvin, it's all about raising your game. You know, all these riders are capable of getting around here quite quick. We heard Dan Bewley say earlier in his interview he doesn't feel like there's any home track advantage. I think he's slightly wrong in that. I think there is. I think you get to know the setup, you get to know how to go quick around here. But certainly every rider comes here, you know, loving the track, loving the wide open spaces. So that makes it a little bit less of an advantage, possibly.
Yes, it is. And when you've got a rider of the qualities and the ability of Dan Bewley, who rides here, has won the last 3 times, and going for a 4-timer here this evening, he will be the favourite. Won't have it all his own way, there's no doubt about that. He's made that very clear as well. He's been very humble in that regard, and rightly so. Let's take a pause now for the national anthem.
So it's almost time to go racing. There's a healthy crowd in here this evening, and there is a national title on the line. Stay with us, because we've got Heat 1 coming up. To the National Speedway Stadium. It is the British final, joined by Scotty Nicholls, and loving it already, Scotty. Chris Louis in the commentary already being controversial because Dan Bewley said it doesn't have a home advantage. Chris said I'd argue against that. What
I think it has an advantage to a degree, like Chris said. You know that the combination to have with the bikes, you kind of maybe know a couple of those little how the track changes, when it changes and develops, but at the same time it's a very, very level racetrack. And
you were saying that everyone grows horns. Anyone in particular that you think is going to be on fire tonight?
They all grow horns, but Dan Thompson's really in good form tonight. So look, I think it's a British final. There will be surprise packages, there will be tight first turns, and those GP boys have got some big targets on their back.
Yeah, well, the boys are about to push off, but there could be spoilers tonight. As Scotty mentioned, it could be Dan Thompson. Remember, that semi-final is going to be all important, but we have got 20 heats before we get there. Before we get cracking then with Heat 1, the Giro d'Italia Stage 4, they're live tomorrow on TNT1. at 11:30 a.m. So after a weekend in Albania, the Giro is back on Italian soil with a flat 189-kilometre route towards Lecce. It looks tailor-made for the sprinters. As I mentioned, that's live 11:30 on TNT Sports 1 and Discovery. But we're live in Manchester, and it is the British final. To talk you through the evening's action is Calvin Tatum and Chris Louis.
Thank you very much, Abby. Yep, we're about to get on with the action for the first time this evening in the British Championship here, the Attis Insurance Sports Division British final. And one of the favourites coming right out straight away here with Tom Brennan going off the outside gate. A lot of people talking about Tom Brennan and the sort of future he has. He's been a winner of the Speedway of Nations on 2 occasions, Chris, but he hasn't really played any part in it. He's been there on the sidelines. This is an opportunity for him to win a title and be the wild card in the Grand Prix. 2 Grand Prix.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a fantastic prize, isn't it, to take away from tonight, and one that he will want to grab a hold of. Of course, he has stood on the 2 other steps of the podium, but he would like to be on the top step, that's for sure.
All of them would. What a night ahead. The weather has played ball. That man, of course, Chris Harris, is having a fabulous time for the King's Lynn Stars. Line up for heat number 1. Leon Flint will go from the inside in the red helmet cutter. Gate number 2 in blue is Chris Harris. Jason Edwards coming out of gate number 3 in white and off the outside in yellow. And heat number 1 is Tom Brennan. Not easy always to get across from the outside in heat number 1 from gate 4. It's a long way, quite a lot of water on the track as well, which you can understand. A stiff breeze blowing across the National Speedway Stadium, bright sunshine, should be ideal racing conditions, Chris. Looking forward to it. And at that, man, what a fairy tale it would be for Chris Harris to make the Grand Prix once again.
Yeah, it would be great to see him there. He hasn't had a great deal of success in British finals of late, but it could be his time again.
Big lights on. Here we go for the first time this evening. It's a level break. They all get there. Harris finds himself to the front. Round the inside, it's tight with Jason Edwards. Brennan's at the back. Brennan having to work very hard, but a superb start. Superb start from Chris Harris. Not renowned for his start. Now Brennan trying to get up the inside, but he's locked to the back. A disappointing start. It is tough from the outside, but look at Harris go. The ideal start for him.
Ideal start for Chris Bomber Harris. Just all around the inside at the moment. Track will take a few heats to settle down, but right now Chris Harris looking quick. Actually, hasn't always looked quick since the British final has been here at the NSS. He hasn't always had the speed, but it looks comfortable tonight.
He's out in front. Runs a belt drive on the bike as well, which is not absolutely normal. Most guys run chains on the front of the bike. It's close for second. Jason Edwards is riding a good race in second place. He's being chased hard and coming out of the last corner. But what a fantastic start for Chris Harris. Desperately disappointing one for Tom Brennan. So much spoken about Tom Brennan, who's flown back from Poland, where he was racing for Bydgoszcz yesterday. But Chris Bomber Harris at the age of 42, riding with so much enthusiasm as always. He fired himself to the front. He got away from gate number 2 beautifully. And he picks up the first win on the evening. 3 points for Chris Harris, smashing ride from him. Jason Edwards back in second place, 2 points. Leon Flint, 1 point in third, and Tom Brennan misses out in heat number 1. And Chris Harris, well, it would be quite some story if he could make the Grand Prix here next month. And he started off in the best possible way.
Yeah, it couldn't have been better for Chris Harris. Comes off gate 2, bike just lifts initially off the start, just gets it down, keeps it driving. Jason Edwards, meanwhile, coming from gate 3, has made a decent start there. It almost looked like he could have got across, wasn't to be. And once Chris Harris hits the front, he's a difficult man to beat. Did carry plenty of speed in that race, not something he's always shown here at the National Speedway Stadium, but looked comfortable there. Tom Brennan just misses the start on the outside. He will be disappointed to come away from this race with 0 points to start his night. It's going to be hard work there to get himself into that semi-final. It looks like he's already lost out on a place in the top 2 to go straight to the final.
On the back foot right from the word go. Not ideal, but the outside gate, often early on when they've had to water so heavily because of the weather, it can be a little tricky. Possibly got a lot of wheel spin on the way to it, but didn't generate the speed that we would be normally accustomed to. I do know that they have put some extra material on for this evening. 22 races, normal heat format, normal league racing just 15, so it is a long night. They're trying to make sure that this track stays in good condition throughout the evening.
It's a track that always copes well with plenty of races. It's always well prepared. We've already heard the riders saying that they all enjoy to race it. One of the quirks here is if you're off an inside gate in particular, you kind of really have to defend the first lap and a half, because the riders on the outside gates can generate a lot of speed, which is most useful on that opening lap. And so you have to look for that if you've come off one of the inside gates.
Well, keep an eye on that for sure. Looking at Craig Cook coming to the start line now. Cook, of course, was in good form of late, coming into the Premiership late on, joining the Oxford Spires, who finally got off the winning mark on Bank Holiday Monday when they won home and away against the Birmingham Brummies, and that man was very much instrumental in those victories. But we've got young Dan Thompson out here in heat number 2 as well, which we'll be keeping a keen eye on. Line up for heat number 2. Dan Thompson will go from the inside in the red helmet colour. Vinnie Ford comes out of gate number 2 in blue. Gate 3 in white is Craig Cook, and Connor Mountain going from the outside in the yellow helmet colour. Looking forward to seeing Vinnie Ford. Haven't seen him ride before. Everybody tells me he gets his elbows out. He's very exciting to watch, so I'm going to be glued to him. But Dan Thompson, the maximum man from the British semi-final, can get off to a winning start here. He's in a good position. Here we go then. Heat number 2. 3 riders are on now. The racer up. And Vinnie Ford has missed the start and unfortunately has looped it within the first 20 metres. Referee has now put the red lights on. Uncomfortable start for the youngster there. Phil Griffin has no hesitation with a motorbike literally left in the middle of the track, and Vinnie possibly a touch nervous there, missed the start and then sat back on the bike, and it literally leapt up underneath him, which was not ideal, and he will be excluded from the rerun.
Yeah, that all happens so quickly. Sometimes you really can't do too much about it. As we look here from the replay, you can see he's just sat straight up very early. It was a little bit too early for that. And he hasn't
bike didn't
managed
react either.
No, spun.
I'm wondering
whether
whether
it's spinning there. I think there's a fault with the clutch.
I think the clutch didn't engage properly. There is an issue with the bike when it's going away. So quite clearly, young Vinnie may have been caught out by some sort of mechanical issue there.
I think the clutch had already disengaged for whatever reason, maybe a broken cable or something, and he wasn't able to control it with the clutch.
Awkward moment for the youngster,
yeah,
nonetheless.
Unfortunate.
Touch disappointing and a little embarrassing, but I'm sure he'll dust himself down and we will see him back out in heat number 7. Fortunately, he's not injured, just his pride. 3 runners for the rerun, of course, and the nerves will be jangling with his riders, desperate to get off to a good start in your first race, and with that, with a restart, refueling, cooling the clutches down.
Yeah, you can see there that the back wheel is already spinning. I'm not really sure what's going on there.
The clutch, as you say, is already engaged. He's not really in control of that, is he?
No, not at all.
So there's mitigating circumstances there for young Vinnie, and he will be slightly perplexed, I would think, as he's gone back, because something's happened there. Like you say, the clutch, maybe the cable has broken or something's happened.
He's actually done very well to control the bike and keep it behind the tapes.
Well, yeah, exactly that. He must have been using all his strength, in truth, to keep it back. Riders on their way back to the start line for heat number 2. Just 3 starters now. So a little bit more room on the run to the corner. Dan Thompson rides for your club, and you rate him highly, Chris.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. He's got such a great attitude. It's a family business when it comes to the Thompsons. Joe and Dan, both good riders. And Darren, their father, puts an awful lot of time and effort into both lads. So, and yeah, both lads have got a wonderful attitude towards their racing and learning.
Dan Thompson will go off the inside in the red helmet colour. Nobody coming out of gate number 2 because of the exclusion. Craig Cook comes from gate number 3 in white, and Connor Mountain going from the outside in the yellow helmet colour. 3 runners in heat number 2. Will Craig Cook be able to utilise a little bit more racing room as he goes to the first corner? New engines, new frames, testing on a regular basis, Cook. And so far, he has turned up in the Premiership and has hit the ground running. Can he go well tonight in the British Championship? Line is on. Oh, bit of movement. Just missed out there on the start. Smashing start from Thompson. Thompson hits the first turn. Cook's in trouble. Nearly runs in the back of Thompson. Has to pull a big locker. Mountain coming on strong down the back straight. Certainly he looked threatening initially, but Dan Thompson on the inside gate, he hits the front into lap number 2, looking good out in front. Cook now trying to make up ground after the mistake in the first corner.
Following the race, but I tell you what, Connor Mountain's got plenty of mechanical speed. Bike working really well for him. He's a lad that can actually make the bike work well. He can find traction on the slick stuff. Made a decent start from the outside, so watch out for him.
Thompson holding firm though. Connor Mountain is there, ready to pounce. The fastest way is round the inside at this very early stage. We're into the final lap in heat number 2. And Thompson with that slightly old-fashioned style. He's quite upright on the bike, but he makes it work really well. Connor Mountain with one last go, but he's not going to quite get there. And Dan Thompson off to a smashing start here this evening in the 25 British Championship. And the winner of the semi-final with a maximum has started this evening in the best possible way with 3 points to his name. So Thompson off to a terrific start. Cook just getting into a bit of trouble. I thought for a moment he was going to T-bone Dan Thompson in the first corner, but he just got away with it, was able to put the brakes on, as it were, in that first corner, because it was a little bit hair-raising. But for that man in the red helmet colour, that was a superb start for the evening. 3 points for Dan Thompson, 2 points for Connor Mountain back in second place, 1 point for Craig Cook. Only the 3 riders in the rerun, with Vinnie Ford being excluded. We'll take a look at it again, Chris, but a faultless ride from Thompson in reality.
Yeah, it's a race win, and a race win in your first ride always settles those nerves, so he'll be happy with that. Craig Cook made the least favoured start there from gate 3, almost runs into the back of Dan Thompson, has to turn the bike a little bit harder than he wants to, gets himself into a muddle, and at the same time Connor Mountain's made a decent start from the outside. Looks like he was going to get a run around the outside of Dan Thompson, who just gets the bike working enough down the straight. He never really got away from Connor. Connor was carrying plenty of speed, looked good out there.
He did indeed. Number 3, the riders are being released. We'll see Robert Lambert for the first time up against a former British champion. So 2 former British champions out here with Adam Ellis and Robert Lambert. Lambert, who won the British Championship in 2018. I didn't realise how time had flown by. Robert Lambert is now 27, spends his time racing on the continent in Sweden and Poland, and has flown back in and has been given a wild card for tonight's event. A Grand Prix winner, world number 2 now. And there's no doubt that Robert Lambert, with his success in the Speedway of Nations, knows how to get around this particular track, Chris.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And along with Dan Bewley, obviously leading the way for Team GB and winning Speedway of Nations glory. But, you know, when you're that good and you're representing your country and your nation at the top of any sport, you're fiercely competitive. And these two, I think that's going to show tonight.
Could well develop into a bit of a head-to-head between Lambert and Bewley. We'll look forward to when they clash a little later on, but heat number 3 as riders are making their way around. Good to see Steve Worrell here. Drew Kemp as well, another rider in good form. Just off the last few, they're just readjusting the rear chain there. When you do a practice start, quite often the rear chain just slackens off, so they just have to nip it back up again so it doesn't come off during the race. Very important indeed. A lot of revs on the start now. They rev the bikes very hard when that green light comes on, so all sorts of stresses and strains going through the clutch and the rear chain.
Yeah, it's fierce off the start when you drop the clutch on one of these things. It's revving at maybe 13,000 RPMs.
Heat number 3, Robert Lambert will go from the inside in the red helmet colour. Stevie Worrell out of gate number 2 in blue. Drew Kemp goes from gate number 3 in white, and Adam Ellis going from the outside in the yellow helmet colour. That man is the favourite for heat number 3, but can the other 3 do anything about him? Settling down, green lights on, tapes up, we're underway. Worrell's made a lovely start. He fires himself to the front, gets the better of Lambert. Round the outside, Adam Ellis trying to get the better of Worrell, but he slips into second place. Here comes Lambert. This is a tear-up. Really is. What a performance from Stevie Worrell for a lap. But here comes Ellis. Ellis is coming into the pit. Oh my goodness! Robert Lambert trying to get amongst it as well, and has done remarkably well to hang on to second place, and now he's pushing on, trying to get himself to the front. Super race.
He's got the speed. He's definitely the quickest man out there. Unfortunately for Adam Ellis, he was putting a challenge in on Worrell. Wrong place, wrong time, allowed Lambert up the inside of him. Now he's giving chase on Worrell. He's got the speed.
Indeed he has. Can he get round the outside? Steve Worrell, a lap to go. Lambert looking very threatening indeed. Hanging off the motorbike, trying to come round the outside. Worrell is holding firm. One last blast from Lambert round this final corner on the final lap. And Robert Lambert gets there in the end. But by golly, did he have to work hard. Steve Worrell really laid it down to him. Threw the gauntlet down right from when the tapes went up. And the race of the evening so far, and Robert Lambert just showing how determined he is to put on a good show this evening. He was right in the thick of the action there for a couple of laps.
You said it, Kelvin, determined.
He was extremely determined, and a hard-fought 3 points for Robert Lambert in heat number 3. Smashing ride. Stevie Worrell likewise. He played his part, 2 points in second place. Adam Ellis back in third, 1 point for him, and Drew Kemp misses out. Smashing race this.
Yeah, best race of the night so far, and Steve Worrell does well there to get over the top of Robert Lambert. Meanwhile, I can see Adam Ellis there by driving hard. He's got the speed, just gets himself in the wrong place at the wrong time. I know he's brought equipment over from Poland to try and find a little bit more pace here in the UK, but this is the end of the race, and Robert Lambert, well, he'd worked for this for an entire 4 laps, and it was a great 4 laps from him. Does well just to get over Worrell, decides he's got to clamp him down. He knows Worrell can come off the corner there on the inside, but fantastic opening heat from Robert Lambert, and we can see how much he wants to get straight into that final.
Yes, action speaking louder than words there, Chris, because there's no question that back in third place early doors, he really dug in, and if he wasn't fast, he would have stayed there, but clearly he is fast, and he came through with a spectacular win. Heat number 4, riders coming out. That will complete the first block of races. Everybody would have had an opportunity to have a roar around the National Speedway Stadium. I hope you're enjoying it. It's off to a good start. We will see the reigning British champion, a triple-time winning British champion. Can he make it for this evening? A lot of people suggesting he can. Barry Briggs is the only rider that has done that in the mid-60s. And it's 60-odd years since that has happened, Chris. So yeah. Are the stars aligned for Dan Bewley tonight?
Well, I like the way Dan made a point of saying he'd like to be the first British rider to do it. Made me chuckle. Of course, Australasians were allowed in the championship.
I don't think that would have been lost on Bricko.
No, it wouldn't have done.
No, he's certainly a favourite. Of course, Chris Harris there just reflecting on his performance in heat number 1. But the eyes and all attention now on the home favourite, Dan Bewley, who has started the season in fine style. Terrific result in Landshut in the opening round of the World Championship with a really determined effort in the opening lap in the first corner. So the lineup for heat number 4 is Anders Rowe will go from the inside in the red helmet colour. Dan Bewley comes out of gate number 2 in blue. Charles Wright, former British champion, coming out of gate number 3 in white, and Danny King, another former British champion, going from the outside in the yellow helmet colour. Terrific lineup for heat number 4, but as I say, Bewley, everybody will be focusing there right now on the reigning champion.
Yeah, of course they will. But Anders Rowe, I tell you what, he's riding strongly this year, and off the inside gate, if he can actually pull clear around the first turn, he will stick it around the inside and be tough to pass.
To take through that inside, as you say, Anders Rowe has made a smashing. Bewley went very wide there, left himself very vulnerable, and in actual fact lost ground. And Anders Rowe was able to hug the inside, stretch the march, but Bewley has immediately closed in. And Charles Wright, who will get a warning for that movement on the start line, will have that at the end of the race. But Anders Rowe out in front, being chased hard by the reigning champion. Can he do anything about it?
Yeah, as you say, Kelvin, Dan Bewley taking a very, very wide first turn. That was a mistake, and Anders Rowe's got good equipment underneath him. He's always quick. Now Dan Bewley's looking to take a wider entrance into the corner, cut back up the inside. He's making plenty of lines on Anders, just can't find that way past at the moment.
Field in there, ran in wide in turn number 1 on the final lap, and that's given Anders Rowe a bit of breathing space. And this is, as you rightly say, you called it, Chris, prior to the race getting underway. Anders Rowe riding out of his skin this year and picks up a very handy win in heat number 4, lowering the colours of the reigning British champion. Now that is a turn-up, no question about that. Anders Rowe rode strongly out in front. He came under pressure, but also showed good composure there to hold it all together. What a start to tonight for young Anders Rowe. 3 points for him. Dan Bewley back in second place. 2 points. Charles Wright, 1 point for third place, and Danny King failing to score. So we'll look at the overall position after the first block of races. 3 points for Harris, Thompson, Lambert and Rowe. 2 points for Edwards, Mountain, Worrell and Bewley. 1 point for Leon Flint, Cook, Ellis and Wright. And Tom Brennan, Kemp and King and Ford have yet to score. That is the position after 4 races so far this evening.
Yeah, not a total surprise to me. You can see there Charles Wright just almost touching the tapes. I'm not sure how he quite managed to stay back from them, but he did. Dan Bewley goes super wide. Anders Rowe makes a good start, creeps it around the inside, and I knew he would be a tough cookie to pass from there, because he really can make the bike work well. He's always got good equipment, and he'll be super chuffed to have gone out and beaten the 3 times British champion Dan Bewley. Super ride from
Super ride from Anders Rowe. We're off to a flying start here tonight in the 2025 British Championship. Let's get down to Abbey.
Cal, Chris, thank you. Well, Dan Bewley there coming second to Dan Thompson. The guys call that he is one to watch. I can say as well that Charles Wright came into the pits, went straight to the TV monitor that we've got here, possibly to watch the start. There is a great crowd here, and the riders are putting on a show for them. Stay with us, Heat 5 coming up.
In red, Dan Thompson. Blue, Vinnie Ford. In white, Craig Cook. And in yellow, Conor Mountain. Matching line of heat, number 2.
Welcome back to Manchester and to the National Speedway Stadium. It is the Attis Insurance British Final 2025. We've got off to a flying start. The guys are about to go out for Heat 5. And just a reminder, there's so much bike action to enjoy on TNT. And it'll be this weekend for the World Superbike. The season continues in the Czech Republic on Friday. Championship leader Bewley completed an emotional hat-trick of wins at his home track in Italy last time out, but closest rival, defending champion Toprak, won all 3 races at the Autodrom Moss last year. He'll be determined to close the gap. Coverage starts 9:30 on Friday, but our coverage of the British final resumes here in Manchester. Your commentators this evening, Calvin Tate and Chris Louis.
Thank you very much, Abby. We see Dan Thompson coming out for the second time tonight. Got off to a terrific start at a gate number 1 in his opening ride. He'll have possibly a little bit more of a challenge this time coming out of gate number 3. It's an important race for Danny King here. Failed to score in the previous race. He's got back-to-back heats here.
Yeah,
line up for heat number 5 is Danny King going from the inside in the red helmet colour. Leon Flynn out of gate number 2 in blue. Dan Thompson, gate number 3 in white, and Drew Kemp will go from the outside in the yellow helmet colour. I was just saying, important race for Danny King if he wants to make the semi-finals at the very least.
Yeah, I was just about to say, it's, you can't afford to have a last place in the first ride without immediately picking it up. He's coming straight out, 2 rides on the bounce, riding at number 13, so he's got to make good now.
Indeed he has. He'll get the inside gate again this evening. It's not a terrible draw.
No.
And in some ways, when you have had a poor ride, it's quite handy to get straight back out there and try and get the better of that. They put some bit of water on the track, and the sun is beginning to go down. It might be a little greasy on the inside in this heat number 5. And Dan Thompson with a fine ride in his first ride. This is definitely more of a challenge for him coming from gate number 3.
Yeah, it's going to be tough from there. Gate 3 hasn't been particularly productive so far this evening. Just 3 points from there.
So we'll see how we get on. Riders coming forward now. Ron Shaw, our start marshal, making sure that they're all behaving well. He moves away. The green light is on. Tapes are up. And we're underway. They charge into the first turn. Wow, that's tight. Leon Flint's made a superb start out of gate number 3. Dan Thompson coming through as well to get the better of his teammate. Look at Thompson go, roaring round the outside. Leon Flint in the middle of the track, but Thompson on the outside. Can he get there? Not quite. We've got Danny King up the inside. Leon Flint. Oh, Thompson's gone very wide. Just lost a little bit of momentum and has slipped back to 3rd place. But Leon Flint looking good in front.
Yeah, Leon Flint will be super happy with this. 2nd place in heat number 1. This will be great for him, moving him on to 5 points. Danny King taking advantage of Dan Thompson's efforts to get the better of Leon Flint out front. But Danny's still not looking that quick. He's having to ride slightly defensive now. He's got himself in front of Dan.
He has indeed. What I say, Leon Flint riding for the Sheffield Tigers this year as the rising star is looking good. Danny King just picking up a little bit of grip coming off turn 1, the final lap. But this is a really good ride from Leon Flint. This will be a real confidence boost for him. No doubt about that. He'll be chuffed to bits with the 3 points in the bag. Dan Thompson just making that mistake. We saw Dan Bewley do that early on, running wide in the 1st and 2nd corner and going backwards. It's tempting to do so. Often it does work. Might well be a little later on before that racing line develops here tonight in the National Speedway Stadium. Leon Flynn picks up a brilliant win. 3 points for him. Danny King back in 2nd place, 2 points. 1 point for Dan Thompson in 3rd, and Drew Kemp misses out in heat number 5. See this again.
Yeah, heat number 5, outstanding. So you go,
with the standings, they're coming thick and fast. Leon Flynn, he's at the top of the charts with Dan Thompson on 4 points. Chris Harris, Robert Lambert, Anders Rowe all on 3, and Danny King in 6th place on 2 points, and then so on down. Now we can see the replays. Here we go.
Now we get to see it. Really even break from the start there. Leon Flint's the one that just wins the battle to the dirt line. Just gets the better of Danny King, moves around the outside of him. Dan Thompson now looking to get the better of both of them in one corner. Really was carrying plenty of speed down that back straight. But you can see how hard there Leon Flint's working on the bike. And once Dan Thompson gets him stuff stuck out there, rear tyre just lets go a little bit more than he expected. I think he thought he would be finding a little bit more grip out there, but it's just after the track grade. Danny King taking full advantage of that move, but Danny really couldn't make an impression on Leon. Great ride from Leon Flint.
Yeah, real intent from Leon Flint. coming out of gate number 2. You could see the body language, real determination as he
Working
headed.
hard, wasn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. And he really roared into that first corner. Dan Bewley, heat number 6, just having a chat with Phil Morris, or maybe Phil Morris just barking an order at him. I think that was probably more the case.
More likely, yeah.
Dan Bewley just stoically going about his business. He won't be too worried by dropping a point, but this is the matchup that we have been looking forward to. Dan Bewley up against Robert Lambert. They are alongside. In actual fact, this is a star-studded lineup. This is a terrific lineup, and we'll give you a little bit more details when we go through that. But there's no doubt that Dan Bewley will not want to be beaten in heat number 6, because this could easily be a final. Here they come. There he is. The boys coming forward. Lineup for heat number 6. What a lineup it is. Dan Bewley on the inside in the red helmet colour. Robert Lambert coming out of gate number 2 in blue. Chris Harris smashing win earlier on. Gate number 3 in white, and Craig Cook looking for more. Gate number 4 in the yellow helmet colour. The 2 Grand Prix stars going head-to-head here in heat 6 off gates 1 and 2. They're alongside each other. They're friends. They're colleagues. But this is all about the championship and the British Championship.
No room for friends in a British final, Kelvin. You know that. So
elbows out.
Let's see what happens here. But got to say, Dan Bewley's in the box seat, but Robert Lambert, he can make a start from gate 2. He didn't make a good one from the inside in his previous race, though.
Gate 2's worked a couple of times this evening. We've seen it with Steve Worrell and Leon Flint in the last race, where gate 2 has actually worked quite nicely, and they've actually got a really nice run all the way into the first corner. Will Robert Lambert be able to do that? Very determined showing from Robert Lambert in heat number 3. Chris Harris, who had a terrific ride in heat number 1 off gate 2. Here we go then. Smashing looking race here in heat number 6. Good lights on. We're underway. This time it's neck and neck. Bewley gets there. Will he elect to go wide? He goes to the middle of the track. Will he have the speed coming off the corner? Oh, Harris feeling needed. Running in the back of Robert Lambert. Harris coming through into 3rd place with Craig Cook at the back. Bewley's hit the front here. It's off the fence. Cook once again having to put the brakes on. But Robert Lambert is chasing Dan Bewley. This is going to be some race.
Yeah, the race is all out front now. It's looking good between these two. I think Robert Lambert has got a little bit more speed than Dan Bewley. He's made a big long straight up the inside. He's going to come through. He's going to run down wide. He's not quite there.
Oh, this is a fabulous race. This is just a precursor, I'm sure, for what we're going to witness a little later on. Bewley not quite with the speed. Lambert winding it on. It's into the final lap. Lambert now around the outside of Bewley. Not many people pass Dan Bewley at the National Speedway Stadium. Bewley hanging on out in front. As I say, God, this is going to be later on. Lambert and Bewley. Bewley hangs on. Bewley hangs on. A dress rehearsal, you would suggest, for later on.
I hope so.
Crowd on their feet. Proper Speedway in heat number 6, no doubt about that. Robert Lambert had a little bit more speed. Bewley had to ride with eyes in the back of his head there. Thought for a moment that Lambert was going to do it on the final lap. Bewley, of course, is a crowd favourite. He's a Belle Vue ace. Of course he's a crowd favourite. And rides like that, you understand exactly why. Race of the night so far. A demonstration from the Grand Prix boys out in front. 3 points for Dan Bewley. Robert Lambert in 2nd place, 2 points. 1 point for Chris Harris, and Craig Cook back in 4th place, failing to score in a fabulous heat number 6. Here's the update to the scores. 5 points for Robert Lambert and Dan Bewley, the Grand Prix duo leading the way. Leon Flint on 4, Chris Harris on 4 as well. Dan Thompson likewise. Anders Rowe is in 6th place. That is your top 6 so far. And Chris Louis, you will have the pleasure of having a look at the replays in heat number 6.
An absolute pleasure. Dan Bewley, great start from the inside. Knows he's got to move to the edge of the dirt. He's got to stop a clear run for Robert Lambert, who's elected to find some fresh dirt right up the inside. Chops the nose of Chris Harris off, who does well to avoid Robert Lambert at that point. Could have been a nasty moment for him there, but great motorcycle skills from Chris Harris. Then Robert Lambert gives chase, using the berm into the corner there, trying to find a little bit of an extra push into the corner. Gets around the outside here, and I think, yeah, he's got every opportunity to drop it on him, but he knows that Dan Bewley will not back out of that challenge. He will take it all the way to the corner. Just moves across at the right time. Robert Lambert doesn't get a clear run to the finish line. Great ride.
Classes Speedway in heat number 6 with Dan Bewley winning his first race of the evening. Heat number 7 being released as we speak. And we'll see Vinnie Ford for the second time. Let's hope his clutch is behaving. I hear from the pit, Scotty Nichols has informed us that he had a clutch problem. He actually burnt out and engaged before the tapes went up. And as you pointed out, Chris, he did well actually to hang on to the bike without just crashing through the tape. So let's wish him better luck here in heat number 7.
Yeah, nasty moment there for Vinnie Ford. It's, you know, when you say the clutch burnt out, it just for some reason the clutch plates are touching each other and make a lot of friction, a lot of heat. They've clearly welded themselves together and they've just engaged on their own.
Anders Rogue making his way round to the start line now with a lovely ride in his first race, getting the better of Dan Bewley. When you consider the race we've just witnessed with that man on the right, just puts it in perspective how hard it is to beat Anders Rowe. Heat number 7, the lineup for you. Stevie Worrell off the inside in the red helmet colour. Anders Rowe out of gate number 2 in blue. Gate 3 in white is Vinnie Ford, and Jason Edwards going from the outside in the yellow helmet colour. I've got to say that Steve Worrell really did get off to a terrific start and made Robert Lambert work very hard in his first outing. A start like that from that man on the inside, who of course knows Belle Vue very well. He rode here for at least 5 seasons, I would suggest. This is off the top of my head, but it could well have been 5 or 6 seasons. So he knows how to get around the National Speedway Stadium. Can he do it from the inside and win his first race of the night?
It's been so close on 2 occasions, 2017 and 23 with second places. He's coming off gate 2 this time. He was off gate 1 in his first one. Made Robert Lambert work very hard for that victory.
The first turn, Steve Worrell hasn't missed it. He's fired himself to the front. Anders Rowe coming through. Oh my goodness, that's tight down the back straight. How on earth did they not clout each other down the back straight? And Anders Rowe has done remarkably well there. How on earth? He missed the start, and now he's fired himself to the front. Classy ride once again from young Anders Rowe. Worrell's back in second place. But what about that, Chris? Anders Rowe absolutely riding out of his skin.
He's earned his place to be in front of this race. He battled very, very hard with Steve Worrell and Jason Edwards almost coming together there on the first lap. But look at him go now. Now he's got a bit of fresh air in this race. He really is pulling away. We know he's quick. Managed to stay ahead of Dan Bewley. You're not slow if you can do that.
It's just a 5 seconds so far. Anders Rowe looks like he's coming of age here this evening in the National Speedway Stadium, having an absolutely stunning night, and he will lead the British Championship because he's going to remain unbeaten. He's going to move on to 6 points. 2 out of 2 for Anders Rowe. Stevie Worrell back in second place. Solid start for Steve Worrell tonight. 4 points for him. But Anders Rowe missed the start. Missed it big time. When we see it again, dropped the clutch late, but by golly, did that bike speed down the back straight, 3 abreast. Fantastic stuff. 3 points for Anders Rowe, 2 points for Steve Worrell. Jason Edwards, 1 point in third, and Vinnie Ford fails to score in heat number 7. Let's look at the standings after 7 races this evening. Anders Rowe, as I said, 6 points out in front, 5 for Dan Bewley, 5 for Robert Lambert, 4 for Leon Flynn, 4 for Chris Harrison, 4 for Dan Thompson. That's your top 6 so far this evening. And we'll see this once again. Can't wait to see what happens down the back straight.
Yeah, it got awfully close down the back straight. Jason Edwards there making a decent start from the outside. Anders Rowe, meanwhile, hasn't made a good start. He's elected to creep around the inside, pushed it out to Steve Worrell. Unfortunately for Jason Edwards, he's in the middle of that sandwich. Wisely gets out of the throttle, backs out of it. And we can see here just how tight it got as Anders Rowe, look how determined he is, just working the throttle, trying to find that little bit of extra traction on the inside. Does really well to get up the inside of Steve Worrell. They pretty much just stole a march in the race, went away from him.
Very impressive indeed from young Anders Rowe, who has been the surprise package so far. Not just the fact that he has won 2 races this evening. Of course, we all expect that he has the capabilities of doing that, but when you consider he beat Dan Bewley in his first ride, I must say he has had a very impressive start to the 2025 British Championship. Big race for Tom Brennan here. Failed to score in heat number 1 off gate number 4. Has had to be very patient. 7 long races he's had to wait for. That's not ideal, is it, Chris, when you've had such a poor first race?
No, as you were saying earlier, you know, Danny King almost had the ideal situation where he's able to get straight back on the horse, not have too many races to think, have I got the setup right, have I made the right changes? Unfortunately, not so for Tom Brennan. He's had plenty of races to worry about it.
In number 8, the lineup, Tom Brennan needs points off the inside in the red helmet colour. Connor Mountain, gate number 2 in blue. Gate number 3 in white is Adam Ellis, and Charles Wright will go from the outside in the yellow helmet colour. Good looking lineup once again here in the British Championship. Everybody would have completed 2 rides at the completion of heat number 8. And it's an important moment for Tom Brennan. If he doesn't get amongst the big points, he really will be on the back foot if he wants to make the latter stages of the 2025 British Championship. He's keen to win. He wants to be in the Grand Prix as the wild card. A lot of people talking about that he should be the wild card, but you don't just get it by divine right, you've got to earn it, Chris.
Yeah, absolutely, and he's got some work to do now. We generally say that it's 9 or 10 points that gets you into that semi-final, so he's got to start scoring solidly now.
Every chance off the inside. 8-4 in the opening race, never easy. So riders coming forward for heat number 8. Connor Mountain looked pretty useful in his first race. What can he do here? Eyes down. Tapes are up. And we're racing. We're into the first turn. Brennan's made a half interval start, but round the outside comes Charles Wright, but a smashing first corner from Brennan. It's tight down the back straight. Look at Charles Wright charging up the inside, forcing his way to the front. I tell you what, Charles Wright's brave. Very brave indeed. Brennan trying to come back at him. Oh, it's neck and neck. This is what the British Championship's all about. Brennan now finally, has he got there? No, Charles Wright's not letting it lie. Roaring round the outside. He now finally gets himself to the front. Brilliant Speedway again.
Yeah, there's a man who was determined to hit the front. He worked so hard, done a great first turn around the outside, knows this stadium, this track like the back of his hand. He's had a few laps here at the NSS, but it was a great move as he just cut back to the inside, worked every angle of the track. Now he's in front, using the outside, pulling away from Tom Brennan.
Charles Wright out in front, just half a lap to go. This is a stunning ride from the former champion. By crikey, did he want that? That was a real tussle with Brennan. Brennan will be disappointed to have lost out there, but in truth, the man who beat him was just that bit more determined. He really did put it on the line, charged up the inside going into turn 3 at such high speed. Could have come together, but Charles Wright, awfully brave. Does have a few crashes every now and again, but never seems to concern him. Brilliant stuff from Charles Wright, 3 points out in front. Tom Brennan back in second place, 2 points, 1 point for Adam Ellis, and Connor Mountain misses out in heat number 8. So we'll take a look at Anders Rowe leading away on 6, 5 for Bewley, 5 for Lambert, 4 for Leon Flint. Harris the same. Charles Wright now moving into the top 6 after a stunning ride in heat number 8.
Yeah, heat number 8, all about the opening couple of laps. Charles Wright on this first lap is absolutely everywhere. He's come off the outside gate. Adam Ellis has beaten him to the corner. He's just gone straight out to the deepest dirt he can find. Really solid ride there. That's the brave move, to cut back to the inside. I think initially it was to stop Adam Ellis running into the corner. Then he realised how much more speed he had than Tom Brennan, who immediately hits back up the inside, but just pushes Charles Wright even further wide, out in the deep stuff. Now he gets a great opportunity here. Tom possibly not covering enough track as he enters the corner there, allows Charles Wright around the outside, and he never looks back. Determined ride.
Fabulous ride from Charles Wright to finish off the second block of races. Superb stuff from him. Right, let's get down to Abby down in the pits.
Cal, thank you. We're enjoying some tasty Speedway. I have to say, Tom Brennan came in a very angry man. It's all happening, sparks are flying, and we're nearing the halfway point of this British final. The hashtag 2025 British Final, Heat 9 coming up. Welcome back to the National Speedway Stadium here in Manchester for the Attis Insurance Sports Division British Final 2025. We've had fast and furious action for the first 8 heats here this evening, and one of the guys that's been right at the sharp end is with Scott now, Anders Rowe.
He certainly is fast and furious tonight, Abby. Anders, you go and beat the fans' favourite, or the favourite defending British champion in Heat 1, then the force will move in your second heat, 2 out of 2, dream start.
Yeah, you know, I'm out there racing my heart out, and yeah, it's not easy. Obviously, every race is hard, and I'm just going out there giving it my all, and yeah, see where we get at the end of the night.
How different is the British final to a domestic race?
Yeah, I try and treat every meeting as no pressure, but this one for me, I'm trying a couple of different things tonight on the bike and just seeing how they work, and so far they're working well.
How did you sleep last night? A lot of mental prep?
No mental prep at all. I'm quite calm and collected, and yeah, I just go out there and every race give it my all, and yeah, no mental prep, no stress.
Well, keep it simple. Carry on, mate. Thanks for chatting. Good luck for the rest of the night. Abby, back to you.
I love that. No mental prep whatsoever. Some of these Speedway riders are so laid back, but it's a different story when they get out on the track. Heat 9 is about to get underway. The riders are about to go out on track. And as they do, I'll just remind you of the other action that you can enjoy across the platform. British Superbikes. It returns after that tragic and very difficult weekend on the track at Alton Park. They'll be in Donington Park this Saturday, and you can see that 1 o'clock on TNT4. For now, though, let's continue with the British final and your commentators.
Thank you very much, Abby. Heat number 9, riders making their way back round to the start. Craig Cook will go from the inside. That's Craig making his way down the back straight. We've got 2 heat winners here from their previous rides, and Leon Flint and Charles Wright. Charles Wright, who won the previous race, heat number 8, in spectacular fashion. Can he do something now similar? Had that sort of night a few years ago. Can't remember exactly what year it was when he won the British Championship, Chris.
2019.
2019. Crikey, time flying once again. But there's no doubt that Charles Wright looking good this evening. Heat number 9. Line up for you. Cook goes from the inside in the red helmet colour. Charles Wright out of gate number 2 in blue. Gate 3 in white is Leon Flint. They're the 2 lads that won their previous rides. And Steve Worrell on 2 second places so far, goes off the outside in the yellow helmet colour. Again, a lovely lineup here. Tough looking lineup. Cook needs a win, you would suggest, if he's going to make the latter stages. Hasn't had the best of starts to tonight. So Stevie Worrell, who's had 2 super rides so far with 4 points, had a really good looking ride, but Lambert making Lambert ride very hard indeed to get the better of him. No real surprise to see Worrell riding well, Chris. He knows this track very, very well indeed.
Yeah, done plenty of laps here at the National Speedway Stadium, and had a lot of success here as well. So he knows the track well, doesn't hold any fears for him. Just sort of hasn't quite had the edge on speed.
Here we go then, heat number 9, takes a run. We're charging into the first corner, and it's Wright again, Charles Wright. How about this? He's having the night, and when he's in this sort of mood, he is very dangerous indeed. He hits the front, electing to go wide in turns 3 and 4. He really is enjoying it. Craig Cook there hanging on in second place. Steve Worrell back in 3rd place. Will he be relegated to the back? It's tied between 3rd and 4th. But look at Charles Wright, Chris. He's looking great tonight.
Yeah, he looks like he's enjoying himself out there. He's just riding into the corners in the dirt. Back wheel never is out of the dirt. He's always got plenty of traction. Craig Cook, complete opposite around the inside. Smart first turn from him to grab a couple of points here. And there's been a great battle at the back with Leon Flint and Steve Worrell. And at the moment, Steve Worrell's got the better of that one.
For 3rd place, Leon Flint won last time out. This time is finding it more difficult from gate number 3. But Charles Wright, he's going to win heat 8 and 9. He's really making his presence felt in tonight's British final. And Charles Wright looking good, really good. Not only is he brave, he's got speed as well. And there's no question, it's a fantastic requirement here at the National Speedway Stadium. If you're not quick, you're going to find it very difficult indeed. 3 points for Charles Wright, 2 points for Craig Cook, 1 point for Stevie Worrell, and Leon Flint fails to score in heat number 9. a look at the position. Charles Wright leads the way after 3 rides on 7, 2 points, 2 rides for Anders Rowe on 6, 5 for Bewley, 5 for Lambert, 5 for Worrell, and 4 for Leon Flint. That is your top 6 after heat number 9. So we're going straight into the next race, no replays. We can have a quick word about Charles Wright though, Chris. How impressive is that? Really looking good.
Yeah, he's looking good, and he looks like he's enjoying the track. He knows the track very well. He's a former Belle Vue rider, and he's just riding, he's flowing, and you have to flow on this track. If you're not riding comfortably and smooth, you will lose a lot of speed and time, and he's just got it spot on tonight so far.
Looking good so far. Leon Flint missing out there was a bit of a surprise. Steve Worrell back in 3rd place. Just shows you how tough it is there. But for Charles Wright, 2 wins from his last 2 rides, moving on to 7 points. Looking good for at least the 7 semi-finals here this evening. So heat number 10, riders making their way round to the start line. Not messing around tonight, we're cracking on with it. It's a busy evening, a long evening, 22 races for you to enjoy on TNT this evening. And what can that man do this time? He's had a win so far. He's had a win on the 3rd so far as Chris Harris, and he'll be looking for more from the outside gate. Line up for heat number 10. Adam Ellis will go from the inside in the red helmet colour. Dan Thompson, gate number 2 in blue. Anders Rowe out of gate number 3 in white. And off the outside in the yellow helmet colour is Chris Harris. But the unbeaten man so far this evening from 2 rides is Anders Rowe. He's looking good. He'll come out of gate number 3. Gate number 3 is more of a challenge, though.
Yeah, much more of a challenge. Actually, the outside gate's really not producing the points tonight. Nearly all of the points coming from gates 1 and 2. But, you know, Anders didn't make a great start in his last one. Worked the first turn, an absolute treat. So we know he can sort of battle his way from the back. It's going to be a tough ride. Gate 3, Dan Thompson's going quite well. Adam Ellis, he's got the speed. He just hasn't really been in the right place at the right time so far tonight.
Not quite. See how this goes. Well, we see Harris roar round the outside in that first corner. It does appear that the grip is beginning to work out there, and he will enjoy that. Here we go then. Settling down. Heat number 10. Takes up. Roaring into the first corner. It's a level break up the inside. It's Adam Ellis. He hits the front. Coming through into 3rd place is that man again, Anders Rowe, looking good. Dan Thompson charging hard and hard around the outside. Adam Ellis is wide. Look at Rowe. Rowe's come through to the front. Oh, crikey, he could throw a blanket over for all 4 riders there. But Anders Rowe being chased hard by Dan Thompson and Adam Ellis around the outside. What a race.
I tell you what, Anders Rowe's going to lead eyes in the back of his head now. He's got them on the inside, the outside. It looks like Adam Ellis is coming back at him now, around the outside. Dan Thompson up the inside. Can't get the better of Adam Ellis, but great move from those 2.
What a speedway race we're witnessing here in heat number 10. Adam Ellis has been at the front. He's been back in 3rd place. He's now back in front. Here comes Harris. Harris has come through in the 3rd place, relegating the unbeaten man Rowe to the back. Can you believe it, what we're witnessing here? Here comes Rowe again. Oh my goodness. Oh, that's a fantastic speedway race. I didn't really know where to look there as they came to the checkered flag. Ellis has won it. I think Harris actually got back amongst the points on the run to the line. What a race.
Wow.
What a race indeed. National Speedway Stadium, proper speedway, racing out of the top draw in heat number 10. Ellis wins it, 3 points for him. Dan Thompson back in 2nd place, 2 points, 1 for Harris. Anders Rowe, the unbeaten man, misses out in heat number 10. You could not see that coming, because for a moment he was leading it. Was truly an extraordinary race. There's Charles Wright leading the way. Anders Rowe moving into 2nd place on 6. Dan Thompson 6. Robert Lambert on 5. So is Dan Bewley. Let's take another look at this, Chris. This was quite a race.
Well, we have to take a look at this. Heat number 10. One of the race of night. Been some great ones, but Anders Rowe worked so hard on that opening lap. Got himself in front. You can see he's worried about the attack from Dan Thompson. Meanwhile, Adam Ellis is launching an attack on the outside. Puts it out in the deep stuff. Big, long way round there, but it works for him a treat. And Anders Rowe will wonder what's happened in this race, because he didn't make a great start. Great first turn. Makes all the right moves. The next thing, he's got Adam Ellis around the outside, Dan Thompson up the inside. And then, of course, Chris Bomber Harris joins the race late on in the dash to the line and grabs third place.
So a smashing race in heat number 10. Heat number 11 has got something to live up to, that's for sure. And Adam Ellis looking like he might just have given himself a bit of a lifeline with that ride. Only scored 2 points in the previous 2 races, but moving on to 5 from 3. If he can reproduce that sort of speed, then who knows, he could well be a semi-finalist here this evening. Heat number 11, we'll see Dan Bewley for the 3rd time tonight. He's had a 2nd place and a win, sitting nicely on 5 points. Spectacular win, I must say, in heat number 6, where he was coming out of gate number 1, and Robert Lambert and Bewley went head-to-head. I'm sure we'll see that again later on this evening, but all eyes once again on Dan Bewley. Line up for heat number 11. Connor Mountain out of gate number 1 in the red helmet coloured. Drew Kemp out of gate 2 in blue. Jason Edwards gate 3 in white. And Dan Bewley will go from the outside in the yellow helmet colour. Danny King keenly looking on. Still work to be done for Danny.
Yeah.
He's had sort of an up and down start so far.
Connor Mountain off the inside gate. He's shown plenty of speed. He got a 2nd place in his first one. Unfortunately failed to score in his 2nd ride, but off the favoured inside gate, if he can get himself into that first turn, he's always got plenty of speed. I mean, in theory, looking at the experience of the riders, Dan Bewley should be able to take this one with reasonable comfort, but you can never say that in a British final race.
Indeed not. It's quite often the case where we see surprise packages. Anders Rowe has certainly turned the form book upside down with his performances so far. Charles Wright, vintage Charles Wright tonight, rolling the clock back to 2019 when he had a stunning win in the British Championship. It was almost like when he won that night, I could see the look on his face, he couldn't quite believe he'd done it. But I can assure you, he is in the record book. Here we go then, in number 11. It's an even break, tight going into the first corner. Crikey, that was tight as they got there. Brilliant stuff from Drew Kemp. He's hit the front. Here comes Bewley around the outside. Didn't get away quite as well as he would have liked. He's going to hit the front here. Tell you what, makes that look so easy. The way he just straightened the bike up there, got up the inside. But that's the class of the man. Now there's a great battle for 2nd and 3rd. Drew Kemp coming under a lot of pressure here. Lots of pressure from Connor Mountain. Brilliant speedway. Yeah,
Connor Mountain again is showing decent speed, pushing Drew Kemp out of the dirt. Now Drew's got to run it back on him. It's all getting tight. So they come into turn 3. Brave move there from Drew Kemp. Drops it down on Connor Mountain. But Dan Bewley, meanwhile, checking out up front. Back wheel in the dirt, making the big laps. Last around the first turn, but he didn't panic. And look at the lead he's built up now.
Bewley looking good out in front as we expected. What a tussle for 2nd and 3rd. Bewley wins on the canter. Going to be tight for 2nd and 3rd. I think that was Connor Mountain. Might just have got that in front of Drew Kemp. Race-long battle for 2nd and 3rd. But Bewley moves on to 8 points, leading the way, the reigning champion. Won the last 3 British Championships. Can he make it a 4-timer tonight? Looking good for the reigning champion so far. Here we see what happens here for 2nd and 3rd. I think Connor Mountain may just have got that, Chris.
Just done it. Close. I would say it was Connor, but it is very close.
Very close on the run to the line. We'll have that confirmed for you when we see the official result. We do know that Bewley has picked up the 3 points there, moving on to 8 points. Crowd just waiting for the result to be announced as well. And we are all being rather patient. So here it comes for you, the result of heat number 11. Bewley out in front, 3 points for him. Connor Mountain does hang on to 2nd place, 2 points, 1 point for Drew Kemp. And Jason Edwards misses out in heat number 11. Here's the standings after 11 heats tonight. Bewley leads the way after 3 rides on 8 points, 7 points for Wright, Anders Rowe on 6, Dan Thompson 6, Robert Lambert on 5 and Adam Ellis on 5. That is your top 6. Chris Harris just outside of the top 6. Let's see it again.
Yeah, heat number 11, Dan Bewley doesn't really panic too much. Makes a half-decent start on the outside, but doesn't get clear. Runs around the outside there, bike reacting in that deep dirt. And a great motorcyclist, great skills from Dan Bewley. makes it work well, just cuts it back beautifully on the inside of Drew Kemp. Bit unfortunate here for Drew Kemp because the first lap he was looking good, he'd made a decent start out front, and Dan Bewley blasts past him. Connor Mountain then just goes after him lap after lap and gets the better on just up to the finish line.
So the Speedway tonight is red hot. We're seeing fabulous action here in the first 11 races. You really cannot take your eyes off of it. We'll see Robert Lambert for the third time coming out here against Tom Brennan and Danny King and young Vinnie Ford. Tom Brennan looking for a big ride here. This man certainly hasn't had the start to the evening he would have liked. Just 2 points from the opening 2 rides. Needs to pick up a win if at all possible, because right now he is on the back foot to a degree. Dan Bewley certainly isn't. He's on the front foot. He's going great guns with the 8 points from his 3 outings so far tonight. So the lineup for heat number 12 is Danny King off the inside in the red helmet colour. Tom Brennan gate number 2 in blue. Robert Lambert gate number 3 in white, and Vinnie Ford will go from the outside in the yellow helmet colour. Lambert favourite, even though he's coming off gate 3, but Brennan under pressure, Chris, needs a big ride.
Yeah, it does. Danny King, Tom Brennan got to take advantage of those inside gates, but Robert Lambert, as you say, will start this race as favourite. Going to be difficult. I think he may have to fight for it. He may have to come from the back because gates 3 and 4 really not working great so far this evening.
Well, we saw him do that in his first ride, showed great intent, got the better of the opposition. Steve Worrell made him work very hard in heat number 3. Dan Bewley lowered his colours in second time out in heat number 6. Robert Lambert will be wanting to get back to winning ways here in heat number 12. This will see everybody having 3 rides, and the picture will begin to emerge, and the maths will be becoming very clear of what you're going to require to make the semi-finals at the very least. Here we go then, heat number 12. Green light is on, thanks a lot. We're racing. Tom Brennan's made a good start out of gate number 2. It's tight in the first corner, and Brennan's been relegated to second place. Smashing first turn from Danny King really meant business. As you rightly say, Robert Lambert was going to have to come from the back. King's wide, Tom Brennan's in trouble. Look at that from Lambert. Once again, like Dan Bewley, makes it look so very easy. Just crept round the inside, straight line speed, bosh! He hits the front. Fantastic speedway from Lambert.
Had to come from the back, but it didn't take long, did it, Kelvin? The big scrap now is for second and third place as Tom Brennan looks for a way up the inside, repays the favour to Danny King. Now Danny King looking to come back. He's got a straight line out up the inside. Can he get it? I think Tom's going to have to run in the dirt now.
Brilliant speedway from second and third. Robert Lambert is beginning to clear off out in front. Superb action from him. Brennan has now stamped his authority on second place. Great effort from Danny King, but it does appear that Brennan will hang on. But Robert Lambert, classy ride from Lambert. Didn't panic when he didn't make the start from gate 3. And when you consider how hard the riders in second and third, Brennan and King, were working, he plotted his way through, trusted the speed in his bike, and just roared to the front and cleared off out in front. So Robert Lambert showing his class in heat number 12, 3 points for him. Tom Brennan hanging on to second place, 2 points, 1 point for Danny King in third, and Vinnie Ford misses out in heat number 12. Here's the standings after 12 heats. Bewley and Lambert locked on 8 points. They lead the way. Charles Wright on 7 in third. Anders Rowe, 6 points for him. So is there on Dan Thomas, and Adam Ellis rounds out the top 6 rather, on 6 points. So let's see these replays again. It was a smashing tussle here between Danny King and Tom Brennan.
Yeah, it was a battle to the first turn, ones that Danny King won, but look at the speed Robert Lambert has generated. I said earlier, it's that first lap. If a rider is coming from the outside, he can generate speed that really counts on the opening lap. And wow, I mean, Robert Lambert dealt with that situation inside that opening lap and really went away, showing his speed. Didn't like being beaten by Dan Bewley in his previous ride, clearly. And the battle there ensued between Tom Brennan and Danny King. One that Tom won in the end, but these guys, I think it's maybe not going to do for Danny King. Tom Brennan still with a chance of that semi-final.
So that's heat 12 done, and Robert Lambert moving on to 8 points. And let's get some more reaction now with Abby in the pits.
Cal, thank you. Well, the cream is rising to the top. Robert Lambert and Dan Bewley showing while they're 4th and 2nd in the world. Have I got that in the right order? It is Robert Lambert, the 2nd in the world, Dan Bewley, the 4th, and they lead the way here at the British final. We have Heat 13 coming up. Stay with us. Welcome back to the National Speedway Stadium here in Manchester for the Attis Insurance Sports Division British Final. We've had 12 heats so far, and this is the overall standing. It is the 2 Grand Prix riders that lead the way. Charles Wright, we've seen some stunning performances from him as well, a former winner. Anders Rowe and Dan Thompson, some of the young guns also proving their worth. Adam Ellis with a recent heat win. He's got 5 points, and Chris Harris, Steve Worrell are in 7th and 8th respectively. Further down the order, some work to do from the likes of Craig Cook and Danny King, also former British champions. More Speedway is coming your way on the channel. We have got the Grand Prix from Warsaw. It's round 2, and that's Saturday 5:30 on TNT Sports 2. And it is the Polish champion, of course, Bartosz Zmarzlik, a 5-time world champion. He will be buoyed by the home support. He's never won in Warsaw. Can he do it this weekend? He obviously got the win at the first round of the season in Landshut. Dan Bewley made a solid start though as well, and all eyes will be on him and Robert Lambert for our British spectators. But here, the British final, let's see what happens from Heat 13 onwards. Back to you, Calv and Chris.
Yeah, thank you very much, Abby. We're just focusing on Dan Bewley, who's coming up to gate number 3. We saw Robert Lambert in the previous race, Heat 12, having a bit of a challenge coming out of that gate. Be interesting to see how Dan Bewley deals with that this time. May have to come through the traffic. You suggested that Lambert would, and so it proved, Chris. Bewley will be keen to get away, but Adam Ellis, a winner last time out at gate number 2, won't make it easy for him. And Leon Flynn will be looking good. Here's the lineup for heat number 13. Vinnie Ford off the inside in the red helmet cutter. Adam Ellis, gate number 2 in blue. Dan Bewley, gate 3 in white. And Leon Flint looking for more points, going from the outside in the yellow helmet colour. Heat number 13. There's Anders Rowe with Robert Lambert, just having a bit of a chin wag in the pits, pretty relaxed, smiles all round. Their evenings are going along very nicely indeed. But Dan Bewley again the favourite, but might have to come from behind here.
Yeah, once again you've got to think that it's difficult from gate 3. Got to say the challenge, because it's gate 2, I think maybe Adam Ellis, he has been making decent starts tonight. It's just not always been in the right place at the right time, but he got his nose in front last time out and was a winner, so let's see what he can do from gate 2.
Yeah, heat 10 was quite a tear-up with Adam Ellis finally getting his nose in front. He'll be hoping to do something similar here, but Bewley has speed to burn, and here in the National Speedway Stadium, heat 13, we're on with the action once again. Oh, long pull, brilliant start from Ford. Ford fires himself to the front, runs wide, looks over his shoulder, leaves the door open for Ellis, then Bewley follows himself through. A little bit of inexperience there for young Vinnie Ford, but certainly encouraging the way he got the bike off the start. Bewley on the back wheel as they complete the first lap. Adam Ellis under all sorts of pressure. Bewley's going to get there. What a sweet move. Doesn't really have to try that hard, but so it looks from here. Easy for me to say, but Bewley majestic in front.
I tell you what, Dan Bewley, the way he controlled the bike lifting and still managed to make a pass on Adam Ellis, total confidence, just reacted so quickly, lost very little momentum, and it was a great ride from Dan Bewley. Great settling down now. Adam Ellis, another 2 points for him. Moving the race at the back. I tell you what, Vinnie Ford will be happy just to have led the race. It was a great start from the inside.
Yeah, fair play to the youngster. He had a difficult start when he found himself on his backside when the bike flipped off the tapes, but Dan Bewley keeps the winning momentum going. 11 points. He is looking good and set for the final here tonight. As a just remind everybody, the top 2 after 20 heats go straight to the final. We then have the riders that finish in third through to 6, will then race in the semi-final, and the first 2 then join the top 2 from the 20 races. Bewley looking good, 3 points in front. Lovely ride from him. Adam Ellis back in second place, 2 points, 1 point for Leon Flint. Vinnie Ford, a fast starting Vinnie Ford, just misses out in heat number 13. And Dan Bewley with speed to burn moves on to 11 points after 4 rides, 3 points for Robert Lambert, but only 3 outings for him. And they are the positions after 13 races here this evening. We'll see it again, just the overtake. Beautiful ride.
Yeah, beautiful ride. It just cuts back up the inside. You can see the bike lifts violently, gets it down so quick, and he still manages just to put in enough pressure there to make Adam Ellis think, okay, I've got to ride out into the dirt. It's too far around, and Dan Bewley really got the bike working nicely. Great ride from him.
So riders appearing for heat number 4. What's he cutting you short a little bit on the old replays there, mate? I don't know.
It's okay, that was all the action, that's all we needed.
Riders making their way around for heat number 14. Big race here for Chris Harris, who started terrifically well, but has only scored a couple of points in his last couple of outings, so he'll need to pick it up here. Steve Worrell, he's on 5 points. He's had a decent night, but he'll be looking for a win here. But for Chris Harris, sense that if he's going to have a major part to play, this race is really important off the inside gate. He's having just a few running repairs up by the pit gate, just the rear chain being tweaked. Has he changed his bike? I'm not sure he has, but Harris, who made a great start initially, needs a win this time.
Yeah, I mean, all 4 riders in this race are still in in the chase for the semi-final, but they need to win races.
And Bewley looking very relaxed on 11 points, and why wouldn't you? Just drop 1 point so far this evening to Anders Rowe, which was quite a turn-up. Heat number 14, Harris will go from the inside in the red helmet colour. Danny King out of gate number 2 in blue. Connor Mountain out of gate 3 in white, and Steve Worrell will go from the outside in the yellow helmet colour. Worrell, who has been second in the British Championship on 2 occasions. Not quite sure how far he's going to go this evening. Not riding at the highest level this year, but certainly holding his own tonight. He's had 2 good second places, a 3rd place last time. And he'll want to be amongst the points once again, but gate 4, that is challenging tonight.
Yeah, if we're going to see Chris Harris in another Grand Prix, he's going to need to take advantage of gate 1 here.
Here he is. Here we go then, heat number 14. Saves her up. We get to the first turn and it is Harris. Harris fires himself to the front. Brilliant stuff from him. Danny King round the outside. He's now hanging on. Will he now fire himself to the front? This is great stuff from King. He's running very, very wide. Coming off turn 4. Close between Harris and King. Coming through in the 3rd place now is Steve Worrell. No, it's not Steve Worrell. Worrell has been relegated to the back there. It looks like Connor Mountain is hanging on to 3rd place. But a great battle out in front here.
Yeah, 2 completely different tactics from the 2 riders out front. Chris Harris now electing to move wide. Danny King's going to have to look for a run up the inside. Oh, he's going to get there. Great speed generated up the inside. He's going to have to run Bomber wide. Can Bomber repay the favour? He's got his wheels in line. Doesn't look like he's quite going to get there.
Brilliant Speedway out in front. Danny King electing to dive bomb up the inside going into turn 3. Here comes Harris one last time. Not quite going to get there. 2 former British champions going at it, and King comes out on top. That is some ride from Danny King. That's the best we've seen from him this evening. He really has given himself a lifeline with a very strong ride in heat number 14. That was more like it from Danny King. It's taken a little bit of time to settle in tonight, but that was a super effort to get the better of Chris Harris, who is not an easy man to pass when he hits the front. So fair play to Danny King. Lovely ride, 3 points for him. Chris Harris back in 2nd place, 2 points. Connor Mountain 1 point in 3rd. Steve Worrell surprisingly misses out in heat number 14. Let's have a look at the standings for you after 14 heats. Bewley, Lambert leading the way. 1st and 2nd. Charles Wright on 7, so is Adam Attis. Harris on 7 now. Anders Rowe on 6. And Danny King moving on to 6 after 4 outings. A lifeline for Danny King here.
Yeah, a lifeline for Danny King and Chris Harris as well. Decent result in the last ride would see them into the semi-final. Disaster for Connor Mountain and Steve Worrell, who look unlikely to progress, but you never know. 8 points could be enough. Super ride though from these 2. It makes a change to see Chris Harris trying to use the inside to effect, but he left all that space out there for Danny King, who worked it well.
Indeed he did. And so slightly disappointing. Worrell will be frustrated with the result in heat 14. He was in the points in every race and needed a big performance there, but didn't quite manage to do so. So heat number 15, riders are at tapes. We'll see Robert Lambert for the 4th time this evening. He's got gate 3 again. Not a great draw for the Grand Prix star. Line up for heat number 15, Charles Wright. What a night he's having. He's coming out of gate number 1 in red this time. Jason Edwards out of gate number 2 in blue. Gate 3 for Robert Lambert, the Grand Prix star. Former British champion, white, gate 3. And Dan Thompson goes from the outside in the yellow helmet colour. Good looking lineup. Charles Wright is a major danger here for Robert Lambert, because Charles Wright's had speed, hasn't he?
He has had speed, yeah. And the points he dropped in his first ride, heat number 4, he was off gate 3. It's been difficult for everybody there, and he wasn't able to find his way through the field. But yeah, inside gate here is going to be a threat to Lambert.
2019 British champion, 2018 British champion was Robert Lambert, that man with the number 10 on his back. Superb effort that night. 27 years of age, won a Grand Prix last year, world number 2 as well. Has flown back from Poland, where he was riding for Torun yesterday in the Extraliga. Busy schedule for these international riders, dashing around Europe, riding most days. Mark Lemon on the left, came to his stall There's Dan Bewley. Here we go then, heat number 15. They start. We're going to the first turn. Into the first corner, Charles Wright pushing hard. Lambert is at the back, round the outside is Dan Thompson, but it's that man Wright. He fires himself to the front. Here comes Lambert up the inside. Dan Thompson in the middle of the track. It's three abreast. Look at the youngster Thompson. He's fired himself to the front. What a ride from him. Charles Wright will be brave. You know he'll be brave. Round the outside. Crucky, that was tied down the back straight.
Yeah, Dan Thompson, don't look behind. It's all happening right there behind you. Robert Lambert now going to the outside. He's going to get a clean run. He's going to generate so much speed out there. It's coming. Oh,
on the outside. Thompson back up the inside. What a Speedway race here in E15. Robert Lambert had to be patient. Wright's not out of it. Dan Thompson has played his part here. He's been relegated back to third place. Looks like Charles Wright might just hang on. One final corner. Brilliant ride from Lambert. Oh, look how tight it is coming up the last corner. Oh, my goodness gracious me. I'm so pleased they all stayed up, because if they come down at that speed...
I thought you were the one likely to go down, Kelv, at one point there.
Well, I thought I was going to have to lie down. It was quite exciting. But Robert Lambert, again, smashing ride from him. He moves on to 11 points. The two Grand Prix riders dominating the British Championship. The fireworks were going on behind him. It really was electrifying stuff. Lambert out in front, 3 points for him, 2 points for Charles Wright, 1 point for Dan Thompson. He deserved a lot more than that. It's the standings after 15 races. The National Speedway Stadium never fails to deliver. 11 points for Lambert and Bewley. Charles Wright on to 9, Attis on 7, Thompson on 7, and Chris Harris is also on 7 points. I'm going to lose my voice tonight, you know. It really is so exciting. Here it is again.
Hopefully we'll see plenty of replays here. You can have a little rest, Kelvin, but it was all happening in that race. And I've got to say, it was a super move from Charles Wright to get up the inside. But Dan Thompson really worked this first lap really, really well. He's in the middle of the track. Not always the favoured place to be, but it makes it work for him. He's working hard on the bike. Finds that traction, gets his nose in front. At this point, you've got to say, you think, okay, bike's working, he's pulling away. This may be his race, but now Robert Lambert's decided, okay, got to get my bike into the dirt, got to make it work hard. He's now doing that, gets a clean run. Dan's not able to move right up to the top. And Charles Wright there, Dan Thompson puts the brake on, allows Robert Lambert a nice clean run around the outside. I say clean, not a lot of room, but he just keeps it wound up.
And then the action for second and third. Oh, elbows are out. Fantastic Speedway there in heat number 15. And Robert Lambert coming through in flying colours, but the action for second and third between Thompson and Wright really was out of the top draw. You could not take your eyes off of it. And it was a pleasure to see that once again. Superb action there. So heat number 16, here we go. This will be the completion of everybody's fourth ride. This is some British Championship. Never fails. This track, this lineup, the title on the line, it really does give us superb action. And we have seen plenty of superb rides. Well, Tom Brennan hasn't had the evening he was expecting, I'm sure. He came here tonight full of enthusiasm, full of confidence, and he really does need to pick up his performance. He needs a race win.
He needs a race win. He's on 4 points at the moment. So he needs to move on to 7 here to give himself a decent chance. 2 points could do it again for him here with a race win in his last one, but he's got gate 3. Drew Kemp was in the mix last time round, showed plenty of speed. Unfortunate only to pick up 1 point in the end.
Line up for heat number 16. Drew Kemp off the inside in the red helmet colour. Craig Cook, gate number 2 in blue. Tom Brennan, desperate for a win. Gate number 3 in white. And Anders Rowe. He's had a couple of wins. He's off the outside in the yellow helmet colour. Brennan needs to do something from gate number 3. It hasn't been great to the first corner. That man, Anders Rowe, has been terrific. Robert Lambert sitting nicely, comfortably on 11 points. Superb. But Brennan, just the 4 points from 3 outings. Needs a big result in heat number 16 if he's going to make the semi-finals.
Tom's led a couple of races, but it's been passed on both occasions to pick up second places. So he needs to find that winning formula in this one. As you say, Kelvin, going to be very tough from gate 3.
Bewley looking relaxed. Chris Harris with a little bit of work to do. He's battled his heart out as always. He hasn't been out of the points though, so he's looking pretty good. Strong ride in his last one. And Harris, 8-2, heat 18. So before that, heat 16, 3 lights on now, great run. We're racing. Cook's made a lovely slide out of gate number 2. Lifted a little bit, but he's got himself to the first corner. Brennan's back in third. Can he make his way to second? Yes, he can. He gets the better of Kemp going into turn 3. Anders Rowe now trying to get amongst it. But Craig Cook, for the first time tonight, has got himself to the front, and he's laid down the gauntlet to Brennan. Brennan trying to get up the inside.
Yeah, Brennan pushing hard now. Craig Cook, 3 points here, would give him a chance of a semi-final spot. Could get on to 9 points with a race win in his final ride. It's all getting awfully close at the back now, with Kemp putting Anders Rowe under a bit of pressure. Tom Brennan now up the inside, just can't find that pace at the end of the straight.
But Cook hanging tough out in front, Brennan untidy, squares the corner off. Got to be careful now because Anders Rowe is fast in third place. If he doesn't get it quite right, he could be relegated, but Craig Cook has ridden a stormer here. Made a great start, clearly has switched it up. A few bike setup tweaks, and that's a lovely ride. Really was. That's the sort of form that the Oxford Spars have been seeing from Craig Cook, so he wins his first race, and as you rightly say, with another win, who knows, might well get himself in the top 6. Brennan, with still work to be done, hasn't managed to win the race so far this evening. 3 points for Cook out in front. Tom Brennan back in second place, 2 points, 1 point for Anders Rowe, and Drew Kemp misses out in heat number 16. Let's have a look at the standings after 16 heats tonight. Everybody's had 4 rides. Bewley and Lambert leading the way on 11 points. Wright on 9. Anders Rowe, Adam Ellis and Dan Thompson on 7 points alike. And Chris Harris and Craig Cook on 7 and 6. So let's have a look again. And Tom Brennan just couldn't quite get out. It was a good start from gate 2 from Cook.
Yeah, it wasn't a bad start from gate 3 for Tom Brennan, but the bike just lifted on him. He lost the forward momentum on the way to the corner. Drew Kemp there riding hard up the inside. A determined ride from Tom Brennan, but Craig Cook got this one absolutely bang on, makes a decent start from gate number 2. He's just using the outside there. He's leaving a lot of room on the inside for Tom Brennan, but Tom just lacking speed at the end of the straight, never able to get his nose in front. And Craig Cook giving himself a chance there of a race win in his last one, could be in the semi-final.
So everybody's had 4 rides. We've got a bit of a pause now. Let's get down to Abby.
Guys, thank you. What a night of Speedway we are enjoying. Robert Lambert just behind me, the 2 Grand Prix riders putting in star performances, but so are so many of the other riders. You can't take your eyes off it. Don't. We're coming back. We've got more action here at the British final.
Cal a pick from this evening. I know who she is, so congratulations to Cal.
It is the Attis Insurance Sports Division British Final, and it is delivering tonight. We've had 16 spectacular heats, and those are the standings. Dan Bewley, Robert Lambert at the top. At the moment, the people in the semi-final: Charles Wright, Attis Rowe, Adam Ellis, Dan Thompson, Chris Harriso and Craig Cook. They are chomping at the bit to get into that semi-final. There is a wild card for the British Grand Prix in Manchester up for grabs. Let's join Scotty Nichols now. He's with Dan Bewley.
Yeah, thanks, Abby. Dan, just a little blip in your first race there, but how important is it for you to go straight through to that final?
Yeah, it'd be nice. Just one less heat, save a tyre a little bit, but yeah, there's a bit of lift going into the first corner, but yeah, it's been good. Track's nice.
Had a fantastic battle with your GP compatriot there, Robert Lambert, but can see on shot now you're just having a good race with Adam Ellis. You spoke about that slight lift there, but you controlled it exceptionally well.
Yeah, I thought we were both going to flip it like Vinny, but no, we had it all under control. But yeah, just there's a few little ruts, and I think it's good. Track's not, I wouldn't say breaking up, but a little bit of character.
Well, thanks a lot, mate. Well, good luck for the rest of the night. Abby, back to you.
Love that. The track is showing some character. Well, we're going to turn our attention just to non-bike action for a moment before we get underway with Heat 17. The Premier League is Everton versus Southampton this weekend, Sunday, 11 a.m. on TNT1. And we say goodbye to Goodison Park. It hosts its final ever Premier League game before Everton move to their new home. Southampton are in town live from 11 a.m. But we're at the business end of this British final. Cal, Chris, actually, how's your voice going?
Struggling a touch. I won't be talking a lot tomorrow, put it that way. It is very exciting indeed, and it's quite noisy up in here, but thoroughly enjoying it. 6 races to go tonight before we have the British Championship crowned. We've got heat number 17. This is race number 5 for all these guys. It's looking tight for the semi-finals. Bewley and Lambert set to go straight to the final tonight.
The way I see it, it looks like there's 9 riders really battling for those 4 semi-final spots.
So there we go. Heat number 17. Leon Flint goes from the inside in the red helmet colour. Connor Mountain out of gate 2 in blue. Anders Rowe out gate 3 in white, and Robert Lambert off the outside in yellow. Tom Brennan looking on. Hasn't been a great night for Tom. And even a win in his last race potentially might not be enough. Possibly might need double figures. That might be over-egging it, but there's no doubt that it is hugely competitive as we come into these last 4 qualifying heats before the semi-finals. A lot of riders on 7 points and 6 points respectively. So everything to race for here. But Lambert out on 11. We'd like to think that he'll have every chance of making the final, going straight through, avoiding that sudden death semi-final. But for Anders Rowe, started the evening so well. Gate 3, here we go. Saves up. We're racing. Robert Lambert has made a nice move on the inside. Certainly that's tight there with Leon Flint battling hard, but Robert Lambert's got the measure of him down the back straight. Expecting Robert Lambert to be pressured too much. Anders Rowe trying to come on strong. The head of Leon Flint is close going into turn number 1 for the 2nd time. That's a good effort from Anders Rowe. He had to work hard for that. He needed the 2 points, and that will be 2 points very well earned.
Yeah, it will be. Anders Rowe really working the bike very well. The track has been watered during the grading break, and he managed to find a little bit of throttle control, find that little bit of extra traction up the inside of Leon Flint. Meanwhile, of course, Robert Lambert super quick, super smooth out front. He will certainly move on to 14 points, barring any mechanical gremlins, straight into the final for him.
Yeah, Robert Lambert looking fabulous here. Red hot favourite for the race, and so it's proving. Got the better of Leon Flint initially. Lambert wins at a canter. Anders Rowe will be tough with that. Those 2 points will certainly see him through into the semi-final. We'll wait and see if there's any movement on that, of the completion of 20 races, but there's no doubt that Anders Rowe is enjoying a terrific British Championship here and has a chance of making the final. So Robert Lambert moving along sweetly. Result, 3 points are here for Robert Lambert. Anders Rowe on 2 points and back in second place. 1 point for Leon Flint and third, and Connor Mountain misses out in heat number 17. Standings after 17 heats, 14 points after 5 rides for Lambert. Bewley still on 11, Rowe on 9. Good night for Rowe. Charles Wright on 9, Adam Ellis on 7, and Dan Thompson still on 7 rides, but 7 points, excuse, but a ride in hand. Here we see this again. Robert Lambert expected to win this race, but just had to pull it out of the bag a little bit down the back straight.
Yeah, had to work for it. You can see there he's got all his weight on the back of the seat there, just trying to find extra traction. Just keeps his wheels in line that little bit longer than Leon Flint into turn 3 on the opening lap. There we see Anders Rowe working hard up the inside of Leon Flint. Gets himself into second. He's had a decent night. He's finished on 9 points. Looks like a semi-final spot for him.
Indeed. Looking good. Anders Rowe, those 2 wins earlier on, really giving him a good base to work from. He had a last out in his 3rd ride, but then has picked up 3 points in his final 2 rides to move on to 9. That might be enough. He'll be certainly hoping so. He looked very pleased as he went over the line in heat number 17. Big race for Chris Bomber Harris here, coming out of gate number 2. Harris is going along well tonight. He's on 7 points. 7 points, so is Dan Thompson on 7 points. Adam Ellis is also on 7 points. I mean, so tight, you can ill afford to make a mistake coming into this last ride. Danny King on 6 points. He needs a win, you would suggest. So, can Harris, age of 42 now, 3-time British champion. The last time he won was back in 2010. It's been some time, but he has been in top form in 2025, doing the business. Last rider coming round, young Vinnie Ford making his way round for heat number 18. So the lineup for heat number 18. Drew Kemp will go from the inside in the red helmet colour. Chris Harris needs a big ride. Gate number 2 in blue for him. Vinnie Ford out of gate number 3 in white, and Charles Wright off the outside in the yellow helmet colour. Now Charles Wright can finish on 12 with a win here, and that will put pressure on Bewley coming out for his last ride. Bewley will need to get a couple of points to make sure that he goes through to the final, so there's no doubt that man is having a great night, Charles Wright.
Yeah, he's having a super night. Like you say, he really needs to put the pressure on Dan Bewley, who hasn't got an easy race, but he has got gate 2, one of the better gates in heat number 20.
He has indeed. But Dan Thompson's out in that race. He's going well. Here we go then. Heat number 18. How's it going to work out? On course. Harris has missed it. Missed it badly, but he's there. Here comes Charles Wright around the outside, but a brilliant first turn round the inside from Drew Kemp. Here comes Harris. He really did have to stretch his arms down the back straight, electing to go very wide in turns 3 and 4. Charles Wright's not out of it either, but this is exactly what Harris needed. Look how wide he's gone. Will it work out? Yes, it will. That is fantastic from Harris. He gets the better of Drew Kemp, had the speed, had the courage. Now Charles Wright is coming up the inside. It's 2 laps to go. This is some Speedway race again, Chris.
Yeah, Drew Kemp's been mixing it in the latter races, but he's unfortunately gone backwards in each of them. But yeah, I mean, Chris Harris really took advantage of that extra momentum on the opening lap, built up that extra speed he needed. Now got a nice cushion between him and Charles Wright. Charles Wright will finish on 11 if it stays like this, and Chris Harris on 10. That should be enough for a semi-final spot.
Yeah, those two will see each other in the semi-final. What a ride from Harris! That is proper stuff from him. He will be really pleased with that, the way he's finished there. He used all of his experience, really dug in early doors and used that grip out wide. We were talking, actually, Scott and I were talking on the way up tonight, just saying if it gets grippy on the outside, beware Chris Harris. And that's exactly what happened in heat 18. 3 points for him. Charles Wright back in second place. 2 points, 1 point for Drew Kemp, and Vinnie Ford misses out in heat number 18. Chris Harris moving along nicely with that win, second win of the night. That does him very well in ties. Robert Lambert 14. Dan Bewley still on 11. Charles Wright moving on to 11. 10 points for Chris Harris. Great effort. 9 for Anders Rowe. 7 points for Adam Ellis. But it's crunch time with heat 19 and 20 to come.
It's so close out there now for the points, isn't it, for this semi-final spot? And Chris Harris, really all about the opening lap for him, just using that big wide line, built up all that speed he needed. Then he just comes down, rides mid-track as he goes past Drew Kemp. Charles Wright battling his way up the inside, but by this point, Bomber Harris has got the bit between his teeth. He's back out to the fence straight away, realises that's where the bike's working the best, and working nicely for him. And if he gets himself into the final, you just never know.
Exactly that. And there's no doubt that Chris Harris will be very pleased indeed with his performance so far, but he's got a semi-final to come, we suggest, moving on to 10. And he's had a solid night so far. No last places, that's encouraging, and 2 race wins. Very impressive. What a moment for Danny King. Count back, he would suggest race wins will be very handy indeed. He came good in his last one, really did look back to his best last time out in heat number 14. Line up for heat number 19 then. Jason Edwards off the inside in red. Adam Ellis out of gate number 2 in blue. Gate number 3 in white is Danny King, and Craig Cook off the outside in the yellow helmet colour. This is a crunch race for gates 2, 3 and 4. No question about that. Ellis, King and Cook, they just simply need to win the race.
Only a race win will do for all 3 of those riders. Jason Edwards probably has the upper hand with the best gate, but it's about the riders in blue, white and yellow.
Indeed.
Who can win this one.
Absolutely right. Adam Ellis was terrific last time, so was his teammate. They both ride, of course, for the Ipswich Witches, and they're going to be battling hard here in the individual British Championship of 2025. 2 more races before the cut-off point. When the top 2 go straight to the final, the next 4 will go to the semi-final, and the first 2 from the semi-final will then go through to the grand final itself, and the winner of that will be crowned British champion for 2025. Here we go then, heat number 19. What a night it's been. Reds are up, tapes are up, they're rolling into the first corner. Great start on the inside. Jason Edwards moves wide, but he left himself vulnerable. Great move from Ellis, exactly where he needs to be. And Adam Ellis, who had a good ride last time, looking good out in front. Here comes Danny King. He's up the inside. Brilliant move from him. Craig Cook was the meat and the sandwich there. But Adam Ellis is away here, Chris. This is looking good for him.
Yeah, this is looking great for him. It was a great move in the first turn. Bike working nicely. Riding with plenty of confidence around the outside. That's where he likes to be. He's got a bit of grass track, long track experience in his very early days. Danny King coming under pressure for Craig Cook now for that second place. Don't think 2 points will be enough for him, but you never know.
This is looking good for Adam Ellis. Spectacular ride from him. Railing it round the outside. Such an eye-catching ride from Ellis. He's going to have back-to-back wins to complete his qualifying heat. Smashing move. He moves on to 10. That's going to be enough. We're going to see him again. Danny King, not sure. Not sure about that. Another second place might not be enough. We'll see exactly how it transpires after heat number 20. My colleague alongside me is doing his O-level maths to see if he can work it out.
Kel.
And Ellis, not only did he win that race, he did it without a steel shoe. Fantastic effort. Attis out in front. 3 points for him, 2 points for Danny King, 1 point for Craig Cook in third place, and Jason Edwards. This is out in heat number 19. So the standings after 19 races looks like this. We've got the 2 Grand Prix boys out in front, Lambert on 14, but Bewley's got a ride to come right on 11. Adam Ellis moves on to 10, so is Harris. Anders Rowe on 9, Danny King on 8, Craig Cook on 7. Dan Thompson in heat number 20 can have a say about that, that's for sure. So just a few replays from my colleague to get involved with right now.
Yeah, Adam Ellis looking confident, riding probably as wide as anybody has done all night. That's where it's going to be in the latter stages, certainly the semi-final and the final. I think we should see some boys riding out there, generating plenty of speed. Danny King with a good ride to get past Craig Cook, but it doesn't at this point look like 8 points will be enough for him. We'll have to wait and see with Heat 20 coming up.
So we're looking at Danny King complete his evening possibly, but he will be reliant on this race, and there's something on this race for at least 3 of them. Steve Worrell, you would suggest, can't make the semi-finals, but Dan Bewley needs to pick up a point to secure his way through to the grand final, but he'll want to finish with a win because he'll then get the first pick in the final as a consequence of beating Robert Lambert earlier on. Line up for heat number 20. Dan Thompson, what a ride for him, what a moment for him, off the inside in the red helmet colour. Gate 2 for Dan Bewley in the blue helmet colour. Stevie Worrell out of gate number 3 in white. Brennan off the outside in yellow. Brennan just has to win the race. I just suggest that nothing else will do. Hasn't won a race, and that will go against him. So a race win here will be absolutely crucial. But Dan Thompson, well, 7 points to his name. He's gone along very nicely tonight, Dan Thompson. And you, the winner of the British semi-final with a maximum, has had a good ride tonight. He's had a good evening. And there's no doubt that Dan Thompson will be very keen to make the semi-finals now. Settling down for the last qualifying race. Just 3 races to go this evening before the semi-final. And Thompson, 7 points. He's had a race win earlier on. That will help him, no question, with the count back. So riders a little nervous here for the final qualifying race before the semi-final. Coming forward now, Ron Shaw, the start marshal. He looks relatively happy. He is. He moves away. Green light comes on. Takes her up. Brennan's made a good jump. Tied to the first corner. He's given a real shunt there by Bewley. Bewley's gone very wide with Dan Thompson out in front. Bewley's going to hit the front. Oh, wow, he makes it look good, doesn't he? I thought he'd gone too wide there, but he just made it look so fantastic. Thompson's come through in second place. Then Steve Worrell back in third. Not good news for Brennan, who got beaten up in the first corner there, but Bewley in a class of his own already.
Yeah, Bewley really making that first turn his own so wide, just generated all that speed. Looks like this second place will be enough for Dan Thompson. He's had a race win, so I believe he will go into the semi-final. But look at Dan Bewley, just warming up for the final, isn't he?
Yeah, it's going to be some shootout between Robert Lambert and Dan Bewley. I have to believe that will be the favourite, or they will be the favourites for the British Championship crown here tonight. Bewley enjoying himself down in front. Had a really good showing from Dan Thompson. They're spread right out. You know, we haven't had too much of that tonight, so we're not complaining. There's no doubt that Bewley won it at a canter. Dan Thompson looking good. Not the night that Tom Brennan was looking for as he cruises over the line. And not his evening. Dan Bewley moving on to 14 points. He'll have the first pick for the final. It's only dropped a point. He is top with Robert Lambert, who's also on 14. But
yeah, I think Anders Rowe's the one that goes through, not Dan Thompson.
Okay, so we'll have that confirmed very shortly for you. Bewley out in front, 3 points, 2 points for Dan Thompson. Steve Worrell in third on 1. And Tom Brennan misses out in heat number 20. Here we see the finishing lineup. Dan Bewley and Lambert are through to the final. The next 4 riders in Charles Wright, Adam Ellis, Chris Harris and Anders Rowe, as you rightly say, they make their way through to the semi-final. Got a feel for Dan Thompson, just missing out on 9 points, and Danny King on 8. So that is the position of heat after heat number 20. And we can have a look at heat 20 once again.
Well, Dan Bewley here in heat number 20, if we didn't already know, just showing us how super fast, super brave he is. That first turn, he literally rode around the bottom of the fence, way out there. Didn't look like he could possibly come back as he was mid-corner, but you just see the speed he generates. Unbelievable stuff. Uses that berm going into the corner for a little bit of extra pace. And you've got to feel for Dan Thompson. He's had a great night. He's mixed it in all of his races, scored points, but 9 just in the end. Ties with Anders Rowe, who has 2 race wins at the beginning of the meeting and goes through, and well-deserved too, into the semi-final.
Yep, absolutely. But Dan Bewley No question, looking good there on finishing on 14 points alongside Robert Lambert. There's no doubt that those two have shown their class this evening. Grand Prix riders certainly coming to the fore. See the standings once again after 20 races. Bewley and Lambert locked together on 14, but Bewley tops the charts because he beat Lambert earlier on. Charles Wright on 11, Adam Ellis on 10, Chris Harris on 10, and Anders Rowe creeps into the semi-final on 9 points as a consequence of 2 race wins. Okay, let's get down to Abby, where Robert Lambert is joining her.
Yeah, we're joined by Robert Lambert. Robert, this is one night of Speedway, and you and Dan Bewley showing why you're absolutely world class.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for that. Yes, you know, there's one more heat to go. We've been good throughout the meet, and me and Dan had a little tussle there, and hopefully we'll have another good one in the final.
What's it like, Robert? Because you know, you and Dan, your teammates when you're competing Team GB. The last time you're here for Speedway Nations, and then competitors. Obviously, when we go into the Grand Prix circuit, competitors when you're competing against in the league. But here in Britain, what is that camaraderie like? Or competition?
It's good. You know, we're still good mates. You know, we wouldn't want to do anything to hurt each other or put each other into jeopardy. You know, and also we have a lot of trust on the track together where. We can ride close together but fair, so we'll see about that in the final.
Yeah, well, we've already seen it, and it shows the respect that you guys have, but like you say, the trust you have in each other as well. Head to head between you and Dan Bewley, you're going to have the second pick in final. That could prove important.
Sometimes first pick is a hard decision to make because you need to choose, and I think there's a couple of gates which are still kind of working, and so I think it's whichever gate Dan take, I'll take the second best.
Good luck for that final, but we've got a semi-final to come first. So back to you, Calvin, Chris.
Thank you very much, Abby. Good to hear from Robert Lambert. I'd just like to mention Nigel Pearson, a very good friend of mine and a great friend of the British Speedway. We lost him just a few short years ago. It is his presentation tonight. There are 4 riders in the running. That is Robert Lambert, Dan Bewley, Charles Wright and Anders Rowe. I'll bring you the winner. That will be decided on social media this evening. But we do remember tonight Nigel Pearson. And for the moment, let's get some reaction from Scotty Nichols down in the pits.
Thanks, Calvert. Semi-final time. Second biggest race of the night. Gate position is going to be crucial. First up is going to be Charles Wright. So if Charles could take his gate position, please, for that semi-final. Charles Wright lines up in blue, gate 2. Next up for gate choices, Ipswich's Adam Ellis. Adam Ellis lines up red, gate 1. Next up is Chris the Bomber Harris. Chris opts for colour-coded yellow. And last up is Anders Rowe, who will take gate position 3 in white. And that is your semi-final for tonight. Back to you, Abby.
Scotty, thank you. So we've got a semi-final, and Chris Harris is going to go from the outside. What a night of Speedway it's been. We've got 2 more heats to come. The finish final. Who's going to be standing on the top step of that podium? Stay with us. Welcome back to the National Speedway Stadium. It is the semi-final of the Attis Insurance, and it is got 3 former British champions in this semi-finals. Only Anders Rowe, who's yet to stand on the top step of the podium. It should be an absolute cracking heat. We've had so much brilliant speedway that we've enjoyed here. We know that we get great speedway at the National Speedway Stadium, and it has absolutely delivered. It's been a stunning night. The weather has played its part, of course, and Anders Rowe, a little bit of correction before he goes out. It should be a great one. We'll be back here in 7 days' time, because for the Rowe Motor All Premiership, it will be Belle Vue Aces, the defending champions, against last year's runners-up, the Leicester Lions. So you can enjoy that in 7 days' time, but not before the semi-final of this British final. Chris and Calvin, it's all yours.
Thank you very much, Abby. Yep, this is the business end of the meeting. This when it really matters. They've battled hard to this point, but another terrific lineup here. Semi-final then, Adam Ellis goes from the inside in the red helmet colour. Charles Wright, what a night he's enjoyed. Coming out of gate number 2 in blue. Gate 3 in white is Anders Rowe and Chris Harris. Coming off the outside in the yellow helmet colour. What a night Harris has had. He's turned the clock back a few times this evening. Can he do it from the outside? I fancy Harris and Wright to go through. Who are your favourites for the final, Chris?
Yeah, well, I'm going to have to go with Ellis and Wright. Of course, Ellis is one of my riders at Ipswich, so I will be biased on this particular occasion. But no, he's made the inside on the first turn work a couple of times a treat. He's got gate 1, it's one of the favoured gates. So as long as Charles Wright doesn't clamp him down, that would allow, of course, Chris Harris with the big blast around the outside. But it's interesting dynamics. Ellis likes the outside, Wright loves the outside. Harris, of course, only ever rides the outside. And Anders Rowe is a master at making the inside work through. So there's a lot going on here.
Indeed there is. Can't wait to see how it transpires. It's been a lovely night of Speedway. I do hope you've enjoyed it. This is when it really matters now. These guys have worked awfully hard. Attis has turned his night around with some big performances late on. Here we go, the first 2 go to the final. Motor up, we're underway. Harris has made a lovely start from the outside. Attis is there as well. Coming through is Charles Wright, but he's gone wide, Harris. Harris just got a little bit in no man's land. He's electing to go very wide here. Rounds turns 3 and 4. Charles Wright's come up the inside. Wright's hit the front as they finish the first lap. Now Harris has fired himself into the action as well. Charles Wright hits the front. Harris there in second place. Can he hang on?
Oh, brilliant opening lap from Charles Wright and Chris Harris. Unfortunately for Adam Ellis, he just couldn't make his mind up where to ride when he found himself in front going into turn 3. Found himself in the middle of the track. Charles Wright now coming under pressure from Chris Harris. Chris Harris just winding the years back.
Indeed he is. Harris is giving it everything he can in third place. He's not out of it either. Harris once again right round the outside. Charles Wright on the inside. It does look like these 2 are going to go through to the final to join Jan Bewley and Robert Lambert, and Harris comes through. He wins the semi-final. He's right there. Chris Harris. What a fairy tale it will be if he can be the wild card for next month's 2 Grand Prix here in the National Speedway Stadium. Chris Harris riding out of his skin in the semi-final. Charles Wright likewise. Ellis didn't throw the towel in. It was still on as they went through that last corner. It could have gone either way. But Harris and Charles Wright through to the final. There he is. Brilliant ride from Harris out in front, 3 points. Charles Wright 2 points in second place. Ellis just missing out in third place, and Anders Rowe, he's had a good night, but he won't make the final here this evening. What a race that was. Another spectacular Speedway race here in the National Speedway Stadium, and Harris comes out on top.
Super ride from Chris Harris, total determination. Adam Ellis makes a great start on the inside, elects to ride round the inside, right thing to do. Unfortunately, Chris Harris has lost traction on his run around the outside there. And here for Adam Ellis, there's the mistake. Can't really make his mind up what to do. He doesn't run around the fence, runs around the middle of the track. That allows first Charles right up the inside, and then, of course, Chris Harris, who then just can't help himself. Second place will do, but he just wants to win it. Better gate pick for him as he manages eventually to get himself out front. But super ride from Chris Harris.
Smashing ride from Chris Harris. He'll have the 3rd gate pick for the final. Can he make it work there? Can he just turn the clock back one more time? Smashing ride from him to get the better of Charles Wright in the semi-final here this evening. They're both through. Now we wait for the grand final when it really counts. What a race we've got to look forward to. So we've got Dan Bewley having a look at the track, just making his decision. Of course, he will have the first pick for the final, which is not too far away. Which way does he go?
Got to take gate 1, haven't you?
Excuse me?
Got to take gate 1, haven't you?
I don't know. I think somebody might take gate 2, you know.
Well,
they might.
Well,
just
somebody will.
Somebody will.
I'm sure.
I think I'd be tempted if I had the first pick to maybe go off gate 2, but I hear you. It's the safe pick to go off the inside. Harris has just won the semi-final from gate 4, but he does like it out
forget
there.
that. That's just Chris Harris doing Chris Harris things.
So Robert Lambert also having a look about as well. These are tense moments as we build up to the race that will determine who will be crowned British champion here in 2025. It's been a terrific night of Speedway so far. But let's get down to Scott Nicholls for the draw for the grand final.
Yeah, thanks, Kelvis. Hope these boys are a bit more dynamic in their gate choice than you, mate. So first up is Dan Bewley. Dan Bewley opts to go for gate 1 in red as per Chris Louis. Next up is Robert Lambert. Robert's a little bit undecided on where to go. Opts to swing to the outside. Robert Lambert plumps for gate 4 in yellow. Next up is Chris Harris, straight into gate 2 in blue. Charles Wright a bit too keen to get up there, but Charles Wright now will take his place in white, gate 3, and that is your lineup. Back to you, Abby.
This is so exciting. So Robert Lambert takes the outside gate, Dan Bewley off the inside, and then you've got Bomber Harris and Charles Wright. All of these riders know what it's like to taste the winner's champagne, but who is going to do it in 2025 is the final that's up next. It's the Attis Insurance Sports Division British Final, and it has been absolutely superb. We have a packed weekend of two-wheel action, starting with the World Superbikes in the Czech Republic on Friday. Saturday sees the British Superbikes resume at Donington Park, before Warsaw hosts the second round of the Speedway Grand Prix. Next week, we're back here at Belle Vue as the Aces take on the Lions. Let's head over to Scotty Nichols now. He's with Anders Rowe, who put in such a brilliant performance tonight.
Thanks, Abby. He certainly did. Anders, he rode fantastically well tonight. Didn't quite make that final, but you've got to be pleased with how your night went.
Yeah, definitely. To get into the semi-final was more than what I could ask for. And, yeah, we worked hard all night, me and Dad in the pits. And, yeah, I did it on track. And, yeah, unfortunately, I got gate 3 in my semi-final and just didn't make it off it. And this lineup is a really strong lineup. And just to be in that semi-final is a really good thing. So, yeah.
It certainly is, mate. Well, you have won something tonight. The commentator's choice you are, the Cabin Masters Rider of the Night. Phil Morris is going to present you with your award.
Thank you.
That's yours. No doubt that can take pride of place. So at least you're going to take something home for your effort tonight.
Yeah, definitely. No, we for us British lads, obviously, and everything, we all want to win this title. And yeah, I got real close. So maybe in the next couple of years I can win it.
And how much confidence can you take away from tonight? Started off with 2 brilliant wins, had a little dip, but then you worked hard, battled your way into that semi-final. Like you say, just missed out, but a very encouraging night.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I find Belle Vue, one meeting I can come here and struggle, and the next meeting I can fly. And in that third ride, I just rode the wrong lines and got past one up the inside and one round the outside, and that's Speedway. So, yeah, for me, big confidence booster and just having fun and scoring the points.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Every day's a school day. Good luck for the rest of the season. Kel, Chris, over to you for the final.
Very well done to Anders Rowe. He's had a terrific night tonight, and he will be buoyed by that. And he's had a bit of a taste of what it's all about to get to the latter stages of a British final. I'm sure he'll be buoyed by that. What a moment it is for that man. Chris Harris in the final here this evening. Very realistic chance of picking up the wild card for the British Grand Prix, or the back-to-back British Grand Prix in June. It's rounds 4 and 5 here in the National Speedway Stadium. What a moment for that man, of course, the reigning champion. Can he make it 4 wins in a row? That will be quite some achievement in 2025.
Yeah, that would be a fantastic achievement. You certainly wouldn't bet against him. He's got gate 1. I'm not sure he's going to risk going all the way to the fence, as he generally likes to do from there. I think he will creep around the inside, but it's going to be an interesting race for sure. It's a 50-50 chance between Charles Wright and Chris Harris to come here to Manchester and have 2 Grand Prix.
So the final, this is what it's all about. Dan Bewley will go from the inside in the red helmet colour. Chris Harris out of gate number 2 in blue. What a night he's had. Charles Wright, likewise, another smashing night for him. Gate number 3 in white, and Robert Lambert choosing to go from the outside in the yellow helmet colour. Bewley and Lambert, the Grand Prix stars, the world number 2, Robert Lambert, world number 4. Dan Bewley here in the final. Will it be a turn-up? Will it be Charles Wright or Harris that upsets the apple cart, defies the odds and comes through and picks up another British Championship? That will make 4 for Harris if he could do it, and 2 for Charles Wright. What a night it's been, and what a way to finish it off.
We've had 21 great races so far tonight. I've got a feeling we're about to see the best one of the night.
Dan Bewley picks up the Nigel Pearson Award with 34% of the votes on Twitter. Congratulations to Dan Bewley for that. Here we go. 4 big laps here in the grand final. Takes a run. We're away. We're into the first corner. Bewley's got there. Robert Lambert coming around the outside of Harris. Harris hanging on in second place. Here comes Lambert trying to put the pressure on. Dan Bewley. Bewley's gone wide. Lambert's got up the inside. Will he block past? Yes, he has. Bewley has to get out of the way. Here comes Harris. That mixes things up big time. And an advantage to Robert Lambert with Bewley at the back.
Robert Lambert really engineered that first lap. I've got a feeling he had a game plan all along, and he worked it absolutely perfectly. Oh, look at the battle now between Bewley, Wright, Harris now following Lambert, Wright around the outside.
Bewley's got to the front. Lambert now trying to repay the compliment. Lambert's got very, very wide as well. Bewley once again is blocked, but Harris now hits the front. Chris Harris is
to the front. Charles Wright round the inside. What a race. This is incredible racing. Oh, here comes Harris again. Round the outside. This is the final effort of the run to the line. Robert Lambert wins the British Championship. What a speedway race. Oh my goodness gracious me. That was crazy.
It does not get any better than that. That was an extraordinary race.
That was extreme.
I can't quite believe what I've just witnessed.
That was extreme.
That was incredible. Robert Lambert somehow won that race. Dan Bewley was in front twice. Lambert likewise. Harris was in front. Everyone was in front. Everybody was in front at some stage. Absolute joy. I think some people in the crowd, including ourselves, are a little bit shocked about what we've just seen.
Can we just see that race in its entirety as a replay? We have
Robert
to see
Lambert
that
is British champion, and I do believe that Charles Wright has won the wild card for 2 Grand Prix here, and Bewley and Chris Harris just missing out. What a conclusion to a spectacular night of Speedway, and you can just see how that was. I think it was unbelievable to watch that back. There wasn't one moment when it was like fireworks going on. Here's the conclusion. Let's just see it again. Lambert actually won relatively comfortably in the end. And Charles Wright, Bewley on 3rd place. So that man, Robert Lambert, wins his 2nd British Championship in 2025. Many congratulations to him. There's his team. They will be overjoyed with that. Flown in from Poland tonight. Didn't have a great British Championship in 2024. Didn't make the semi-finals. Has come back and he's put that wrong right tonight with a fabulous win in a wonderful final. That was extraordinary Speedway.
I think it's the best British final race we've ever seen, actually. I've got to be honest. That was absolutely superb. I think everybody led it at some point or other.
Yeah, they did.
And it was Lambert that came through with the win, but here we see it again.
You might need some help here.
Unbelievable stuff.
You might need some help.
Dan Bewley there does well to control the bike. Didn't want to run to the outside. Bike nearly made him do it as he just collected a small rut. Hits the front. You've got to think at this point it's all over. Goes to the outside now. This was a great move from Lambert. Didn't actually close the door completely, but he did enough to make sure that Dan Bewley thought about keeping it going. He didn't. He got off the throttle. And Robert Lambert at this point hits the front. Charles Wright's done great to come from last into 3rd. Chris Harris just keeps appearing from nowhere on the outside, the inside. He was absolutely everywhere, determined. And then, of course, Dan Bewley hits the front again with a super move. Look for the 2nd block pass again. Bewley knew it was coming, absolutely knew it was coming. Chris Harris hits the front.
Harris is now going to be British champion, but then Charles Wright has now hit the front. He's come from last. He's hit the front.
Oh, no, hang on. Here comes Chris Harris.
This was just too much action to actually commentate on. But out of the final corner, Robert Lambert holds firm and picks up a win on the night, which was just, I don't think any of them would have been in a Speedway race quite as dramatic as that. That was an extraordinary bit of action, and that man came through in flying colours, and congratulations to him. And as I say, for Charles Wright, what an opportunity to have a couple of Grand Prix here next month.
Hey, Kelvin, we've got 2 Grand Prix to talk over. Going to be just like that.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, let's get some reaction. Abby's down there. She's joined by the winner, Robert Lambert.
We are joined by the winner, and he's just been congratulated by Dan Bewley. Robert Lambert, you are the British champion in what was an extraordinary final.
There was bikes going everywhere, and I was sending on the bottom of the airbag, and so was Dan, and then Charles was there, and I think I see Bomber up the inside for a moment, so I can't wait to watch the replay. But so amazing to get my name on the trophy once more, and big thanks to Ty for letting me use his back wheels, and wish you all the best and speedy recovery, mate.
Yeah, we absolutely do. We all do. 2018 was the last time that you won this. It was a disappointing night for your standards last time, but how much is that kind of bragging rights, really, to be the national champion, because the standard is high tonight, so high?
Yeah, it definitely is. We had a strong field of boys, and saw some me and Dan, battling out. It's like very small margins, and that's good to have, a fellow British teammate and also rival at this level.
Robert, you've taken the win and it was so deserving. It was a brilliant heat to watch. I'm sure you're going to enjoy it when you watch it back, but you've got that winner's champagne to enjoy first.
Definitely. That's why I brought 2 caps with me, so I got a fresh one for tomorrow in Sweden.
Clever, clever, clever. Well done, Robert. What a final we've enjoyed. That final then was just breathtaking. So many of the riders that were competing tonight were watching it. Everyone couldn't believe what they were seeing. I hope you've enjoyed it. We have got more analysis and, of course, the podium to enjoy when you come back.
Here we go. 4 big laps here in the grand final. Tanks are up. We're away. We're into the first corner. Bewley's got there. Robert Lambert coming around the outside of Harris. Harris hanging on his second row. Here comes Lambert trying to put the pressure on. Down Bewley. Bewley's gone wide. Lambert's got up the inside. Will he block past? Yes, he has. Bewley has to get out of the way. Here comes Harris. That mixes things up big time. And an advantage to Robert Lambert with Bewley at the back.
Robert Lambert really engineered that first lap. I've got a feeling he had a game plan all along and he worked it absolutely perfectly. Oh, look at the battle now between Bewley, right, Harris now following Lambert right around the outside.
Bewley's got to the front. Lambert now trying to repay the compliment. Lambert's got very, very wide as well. Bewley once again is blocked back. Harris now hits the front. Chris Harris has now come to the front. Charles Wright round the inside. What a race. This is incredible racing.
Oh, it comes Harris again.
Round the outside, this is the final effort of the run to the line. Robert Lambert wins the British Championship.
When the Grand Prix is coming in?
Yeah, 100%. You know, some good racing tonight, but good racing every week.
We have witnessed an incredible British final, and to talk us through the podium are your commentators, Calvin and Chris.
Thank you very much, Abby. Still getting over that final. I don't think either of us witnessed something quite as dramatic and dynamic as that. That really was breathtaking stuff. And it was a fabulous win for Robert Lambert. But in truth, all 4 of them played their part there, Chris. It was quite remarkable.
Yeah, look, you know, we came into this meeting, everybody was talking about that man there, Dan Bewley, and of course Robert Lambert. All 4 riders made that race. It was superb.
Dan Bewley, no longer British champion, but nonetheless he can be still rightly proud to have been involved in what was quite some race, a race that will be live long in the memory. What a night for Charles Wright. Second, he's won it before, but second on the night, and he picks up the wildcard race jacket for the Grand Prix back here in the middle of June. 2 rounds he'll have to enjoy. What a moment for him. So Charles Wright, but now the winner. This was fabulous performance from Robert Lambert. Didn't make the semi-finals last year, wins it a year later. And to win a race like that, I can tell you, when he watches the replay, I think he'll be very proud indeed, and a touch bewildered, because he can't quite believe what he saw.
I would advise him not to watch it, to be honest.
Okay. No, fabulous night, and what a conclusion, and that famous trophy lifted above the head of Robert Lambert, who is the 2025 British champion. And a fitting conclusion. Really is been a terrific night. Dan Bewley will be, he's a pretty laid-back character, Dan Bewley, there's no doubt that. But let's listen, for the second time this evening, the national anthem. So there we go, national anthem rings out around the National Speedway Stadium, and a hugely proud moment for all three riders. There's the race jacket for Charles Wright. He'll be wearing that proudly next month in rounds 4 and 5 of the World Speedway Championship. That will be some weekend for him. But for the other two boys, we will see them, of course, here as well. But what a night, Chris.
Yeah, I've got to congratulate all four riders for one of the, if not the most spectacular race for 4 laps that I have ever seen. And congratulations as well to the National Speedway Stadium, everyone involved here for a superb event.
Yeah, very well said. And for the amount of speedway you've seen, both of us, it really was something very special indeed, the way that came to a conclusion. And as I say, it will be a race that will be shown over and over again, because it was just breathtaking stuff. So fabulous night. Thank you very much for tuning in. But for the moment, let's get back down to the centre green with Abby and Scott.
Scotty, enjoy that final.
It's not very often I get goosebumps when I watch a race, but that race was just like, oh my God. And we sort of joked before, like, oh, Bond will do it. And oh my God.
At one stage, he looked like he was going to do it.
Oh man, he had the bit between his teeth, and you really have to feel for him, because he deserved to be on the podium, really. All 4 should have been on there, but it's one person has to miss out, and unfortunately it was Bomber. But you know, coming into this bend, when he nipped in front, it was a bit like, I think the whole stadium probably erupted. But what a final.
It was an incredible final. Like you say, all 4 deserve to be on the podium. But Charles Wright will be here in June, and he'll be the wild card for the doubleheader at the Grand Prix.
Yeah, and what a huge opportunity that is, you know. It's he's from this neck of the woods. He's raced for Belle Vue. And so, yeah, I think man at the moment
we're going to get him in.
Slide in any second here. Charlie, if you slide in the middle, mate.
Congratulations, Charles. And so nice to do it with your baby boy here as well.
Yeah, it's nice. I didn't expect anything. Just come with an open mind and take a race at a time and get to the semi and then go from there, really. And no, it was a bit of a hectic final. I think I was in first at one point and then back, and then second and third. It was a crazy race, and I went in the last corner. I thought, I've got this, and then Robert must have just done the wall of death around it and snatched it. But no, I'm happy. I get to go to the Grand Prix at my local hometown, so yeah, I can't ask for anything better than that.
God, it was extraordinary, wasn't it?
It is. I have to ask, what's going through your mind? Because I've got to be honest, the first couple of laps, the commentators weren't really talking about it. You were kind of plugging around the inside. It was, you know, Bomber, Lambert and Bewley were kind of going for it. So were you kind of sitting there thinking, I've got me a minute anyway, let them two mess each other up and I'm going to pounce?
Yeah, well, they were all going wide and missing. There was a few ruts around the inside, and I had a bit of a clear track while they were bunched together, so I could ride my own race and build my speed. So yeah, sort of helped, but no, I'm just pleased, really pleased with the performance today.
Oh, you certainly should be. What a final.
Charles, congratulations. We'll let you go enjoy it with your family. It was an absolutely spectacular night of racing, Scotty. I mean, Chris Louis said it, he's never seen anything like it. But before we just get your final thoughts, we've got so much on offer this week on TNT Sports and Discovery Plus. Later tonight, we have more action from the NBA playoffs. Tomorrow, it's the Giro d'Italia, returns to Italian soil. And then we have Friday, a double-header of Gallagher Premiership rugby action, and Sale meet Bristol in a crucial clash in the race-off for the playoffs, whilst Newcastle and Gloucester is live on Discovery Plus from 7:30. Sunday, we say goodbye to Goodison Park as Everton take on Southampton in their last ever home game at the iconic stadium. But here, the iconic track of Speedway, it's been extraordinary, Scotty, extraordinary.
It certainly has. Belle Vue, or the National Speedway Stadium, has delivered.
It has.
We said right at the outset that there'd be a few surprises. The final almost turned one up, didn't it? Two riders that deserved to be there.
Yeah.
You probably wouldn't have picked to win, and they almost did it.
How important, really quickly, is it to get that title, but especially between Robert Lambert and Dan Bewley?
But you said bragging rights, and it is. You know, you want to puff your chest up and say you're the nation's best, and hats off, Robert Lambert won it and deserves it.
He is a deserving winner. They all were, actually. They should have all been on the top step of the podium. It's an extraordinary night. I've said extraordinary so many times, but it has been. And we'll be back here in 7 days' time. We'll be Belle Vue against Leicester. But from National Speedway Stadium, bye for now.